push me, and then just hurt me until you get my. We're live, aren't we?
Yes, we're live.
Well, welcome to the Making Awesome podcast number 224, where we have something very interesting to talk about, which is definitely not, once again, Index, and talking about our favorite printers. Definitely not been put on the spot all of a sudden, not realizing we went live. Back to you, Grant.
I told you we were gonna go live.
I didn't know you clicked it. It's okay. That was intentional. Really good cold open.
Yeah. Totally intentional. Yeah, we're professionals at this. We don't make mistakes. You make mistakes. It's not us. It's all you all, the viewers, all 17 of you, apparently. Welcome to the Making Awesome podcast, episode 224. We're going to be talking about our ideal 3D printer. This was all sparked because Bondtech released what the IN in INDX means, and we were right. It's inductive. It means inductive. So that is super awesome to see. Really excited about that, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it as well, but it sparked some ideas of like what we would think is an ideal 3D printer, but then also talking about the price point, because we can sit here and be, you know, just imagining what the Construct 3 will be, or, you know, if we took Pantheon and Construct 3D and just said Kith and told them to figure it out, you know, but realistically, our ideal printer is going to be something that might make some concessions on different things. And, well, hey, we'd love to hear your all's opinions as well in that chat. Don't forget, if you do want to support the show, you can do so. You can join Patreon, PayPal, YouTube channel members. $10 a month gets you access to the Discord, where we will be hanging out after the show, or I'll be hanging out after the show for sure. At least for an hour, because then I got to go take care of some college kids that didn't plan ahead of time, and now they're rushing to get parts made. So thanks for paying for half of one of my generators, college kids. But yeah, you can come hang out there, and if you want to donate a couple of bucks to keep the stream ad-free, that would be awesome. Let's see, who else we got? Oh, super sweet merch linked down in that description, pin stuff and all that. Enter to win some free filament from Printed Solid. And of course, big thank you to the podcast sponsor, Construct 3D. You do want to get some of the UK's fastest 3D printers that are made by a family. You can watch that tour if you want to. Why are we making so many noises over there?
I swear, if the Quiddy's just broken the nozzle as we start talking about our ideal printer, that is very funny.
No. It's a roll of carbon fiber, glass fiber, PETG, that is catching in the AMS, and it's just...
That is a noise.
I'm aware that I shouldn't run glass fiber, but it's like the last 100 grams, and it's expensive, so I'm running 2 rolls so I can just fuse them together and not worry about it. That's right. When I look this way, I look at Jacob, and
oh yeah, we're on the other sides now.
Yeah, we're on the other side.
See, to me, we're still reversed because it's on the Zoom layout.
Yeah, Tarsman basically said, "Good, fast, cheap. I want all 3." Ideal printer. Move
Unfortunately,
on.
You're not getting that.
Well, I mean, ideal and realistic are 2 very different things, right?
That is true. You got me there. Semantics.
That's fair. Like, we discussed specifically ideal, but I wonder how much
ideal
of it
doesn't
actually...
need to be best.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, so like we started being professional. For those that don't know, we have show notes now. So we have a rolling Google Doc that has our show notes, and I noticed that in all of our notes that we have, neither of us mentioned price. Which means we have good and fast, and maybe not necessarily cheap. But hey, that's how life goes, right? Sometimes you need to, you know, work with a different budget level to get all the features that you're looking for. So, I don't know.
Even then, though, if you can't ever afford it, like, it could be the best machine on the planet. Like, it could cure cancer.
Wouldn't be allowed in the US, I tell you that.
6 houses. It's you can't afford it, and therefore the best machine is not the one you can ever use. Therefore, it's not the best.
Oh, only 6 houses. The American healthcare system would like a chat with you.
Look, I don't know what the house price is in America. All I know is it's very high.
It doesn't matter, man. We have 3D printers that cost $20 million in hospitals.
I'm going to pretend I forgot. I learned that. Every time I hear those price tags when it comes to 3D printers, I just blank them out.
Those are bioprinters that do like stem cell stuff. So,
yeah, but it's not really 3D printers. That's like,
yes,
it's 3D, but in like the world's smallest scale.
And that is what?
Shut up.
Sir,
you're right.
Yes, I am technically correct, which is what, Jacob?
3D.
No. It is the best kind of correct. Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
So for anyone who doesn't know, I've been very tired for the last 2 days because for some reason I was like, yes, to my friends, we will do a sword fighting tournament. I didn't realize that meant waking up at 6 in the morning and getting home at like gone 11:30 at night. So I am on 0 energy, almost 0 caffeine because there was no energy drinks in the little vending machine, and immediately onto here. So...
And for those wondering, that is not a euphemism. He's actually, like, fighting with broadswords and stuff. And, like, full combat.
Full contact as well.
I'm not certain that any life insurance policy or health insurance policy in the States would remotely allow that kind of thing. But what they don't know can only hurt you.
Yeah, pretty much. It's okay. We only had one major injury through protective equipment. It was fine.
All right, now I gotta know, what does a major injury look like? Is this a stab wound?
So this was a stabbing event. They were both rapiers. One went in, got deflected up, hit the front of the mask, and got stopped by the mask. Except in this industry, we call that a waffle effect, as the mask had so much force put into it. Now, these masks are rated for like 1,600 newtons. Like, they will not break. But that still means the force is going somewhere. And what happens is the mask compresses, hits you on the nose, and the guy, it wasn't cut or anything, but was just gushing blood out of the nose.
Anytime... Like, pro tip, if you're trying to look big in a fight, go for somebody's nose, because, like, you just need to flick it at a reasonably high rate, and you'll break someone's nose, and it just bleeds. Like, even a tiny little head wound, which I've had plenty of them, they just blood everywhere. So if you're trying to be a tough guy, go for someone's nose, and that's been your unethical life pro tip of the day. You must have very good aim, and you must know how to throw a punch and all that. Anyways, is this where we discover Jacob has not watched Futurama? And now I know who Dreams Void actually is. I didn't know who Dreams Void is. Now I know.
That's Doug.
I didn't know that until this past Friday for Print Fix Friday, when all of that put together for me. I didn't know that was Doug. That's Two Kidney Doug, actually.
And he's still got his kidneys.
Yeah, Two Kidney Doug.
For now.
Yeah, exactly.
That might change.
Exactly. So I'm going to go through some of the comments real quick, and then we'll start chatting. David Wood said, for me, the ideal is a multi-head, multi-gantry printer for speed with some of the heads for index of multicolor. Christopher Elliott said Core 1 with index. Tarzman said, it just has to be reliable. Speed isn't a major issue. Give me normal Core XY speeds, and I'll be happy. Multiple extruders / nozzle. Printing, and cheap, he said. Let's see. Dale said they're getting a Centauri Carbon for their birthday. VAT Engineering said, would be cool if you had filament sponsors for every 20-minute segment of the show. That'd be a lot of sponsors, but hey, we're open to it. Millennium Machine Works says the perfect printer is a CNC machine. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, you could put a CNC, you could put a 3D printer head on a CNC machine, but sure.
I just realized I'm not getting half these chats because I've got it in top chat mode instead of live chat.
Oh yeah, I have that too. Let me. I hate that YouTube,
thank you, YouTube
defaults to that. Even for me.
It really annoys me when we have such good comments and YouTube just like, yeah, you don't need to see that. I'm like, no, don't let me see them. Let me filter them.
Oh, Dale said it would be better if he got a Construct 3D printer for his birthday instead of a Centauri Carbon. He would go and pick it up personally because he's only an hour away from you all. Yusuf asks Amber what she's eating, and she's eating little chocolate chip cookies from Trader Joe's. Because I definitely didn't get taken on a wild goose chase by a piece of shit seller on Facebook Marketplace for a reasonably affordable generator. Drove my happy ass all the way into deep Tampa, 45 minutes away, for the guy not to show up. We were at half a mile from Trader Joe's, so I said, F it, we're going to go to Trader Joe's and spend money instead. Trader Joe's is like... I'm trying to describe, like...
Isn't Trader Joe's just...
It's a supermarket.
It's a Lidl, isn't it? Isn't it like a renamed brand?
It is. It's like Lidl, but without the weird tool aisle. It's just food, and it's most of it is.
Nah.
Yeah, I know.
I need that tool aisle.
Aldi here in the States is Lidl for you. Ours just started to get the 20-volt outdoor, like there's a leaf blower and a string trimmer. We always go to Aldi because it's also fun to say Aldi's nuts, because why not?
It will always be funny.
Yeah, it's always funny. Just like the Chromecast that I have is named D's Nuts, so when you tell your Google smart device to stop, it says, okay, stopping D's nuts. And that's funny. I'm sorry.
Remember, guys, we're professionals.
Yeah, we're professionals. We're totally professionals.
To be fair, the moment you stop having fun is the moment you die a bit on the inside.
Yeah, and I become bitter, old, decrepit.
Yeah.
And conservative. I mean, what?
Look, my phone is named things, so every time somebody goes on like the Discovery to see who's around, mine does say jet fuel doesn't melt steel memes.
Beautiful.
And I kind of love that.
Let me see what else we got here.
And no, Doug, I have not watched Futurama.
America, where we spend the world's amount of money in medical R&D because we spend more than anyone else on medical stuff. Unfortunate paradox. Yeah, that's fair. So Jacob, have you not seen Futurama?
No.
Jacob,
I haven't. It wasn't
I want
available.
you to watch Futurama before you watch Fast and the Furious, because there's more important things in this world than Fast and the Furious, and that is Futurama. The episode involving a dog. There's an entire episode involving a dog. If you don't want to be depressed for a week, skip it. Someone put the episode title in the chat. There is one particular episode of Futurama. Skip it. It is...
I'm loving the fact that I can tell exactly what type of episode this is just from the way you're saying it. And everyone in the chat that's watched it is going either yes, definitely watch it, or don't.
No.
They're completely blank to it.
Net7 commented before I talked about the dog episode, so they're telling you to watch it. Vat Engineering says don't skip it. Episode is Jurassic Bark. Yeah, skip Jurassic Bark. Just skip it. It's not a bad episode. It will make you depressed. Skip the episode. Look, everyone says the same thing. Jurassic Park for Futurama. Futurama is a phenomenal show. That one episode, my heart, what is left of it, dies a little bit because that episode is so sad. It's so sad. So sad. Anyways. Let's see... What else we got? I'm trying to go through. I think that was all the stuff that we had. So let's dive into kind of what we are thinking. And to be clear, this all started because we learned more about the Bondtech Index. So the first note is in all caps rage. It is inductive. So yes, so we know that the INDX means inductive now, and I firmly believe that an ideal 3D printer would actually have an inductive hot end. Not just because it heats up instantly, but if you do it correct, it'll also cool very quickly because it won't have a ton of thermal mass, which is what Bondtech is doing. So when you're talking about doing like an AMS style, right? One hot end, multiple rolls feeding into it, you can purge out at a high temp, cut that temp way down. Let's say you're going from like nylon to PLA, right? Truly something you should never do, but fine. Right, nylon to PLA.
I do it all the time.
I
It's
know
awful.
you do.
Don't.
I know you do. You know, this would be where inductive is just ideal. Now, the thing that I worry about with inductive, and I only worry about this now because we just started putting FDM printers on this circuit. So the circuit on my side of the room.
Okay.
I can't run them when we're filming. So I got the Core 1 on this circuit and a Sunlu S4, which is doing a lot of the drying. My lights will flicker. I think it's the S4 because the Core 1's never done it before, so I think it's the S4. It's the on and off PWM frequency. It's causing the lights to flicker.
What?
It's a very common problem. And it's like you have to set your PID, or it's not your PID, you have to set your
Is this for like an AC heater or
yeah,
like
yeah. It's AC. DC wouldn't do this.
Okay.
Which is
and
why
that is setting off your and is that going through a relay?
Cycle time. Yeah, there's a cycle time. You set the cycle times.
Okay, that is awful.
I'm assuming it
relays,
is.
Well, relays should be set to either be 0-point switching, so it only switches frequency when the AC is 0.
But they're not.
And you should control the PWM loop at that set frequency, because obviously you can have a 0 frequency SSR, but you can control it faster or slower than the SSR can latch, and that would do it. But you should match it. Like, if you're in America, America's 50 hertz, isn't it?
60.
I can never remember this. 60. So if you're in America and you're at 60, you set your PWM refresh rate at 60 hertz. And then no matter what happens, the control loop is matched to the power grid. And it's the same in the UK. It's auto 50. And then it switches at 50. So even when it's on and off, and it's what is it a bed heater? I'm assuming it's a bed heater.
No, it's so if it is the Core 1, the Core 1 is full DC, so I doubt it's the Core 1. It's likely
it's not the Core 1.
It's likely the S4. The Sunlu S4, which is a 4-bay filament dryer. And I'm only using that right now because I have to do 58 rolls of filament for a project. And I don't want to wait to go over and over and over and over and over again, so I just took out the S4 and doing 4 rolls at once. So that's what we're doing. So yeah, but it would be very nice if we had some sort of 0-point switching built in. So and that's a key with something with not a lot of thermal mass, is making sure that it doesn't upset, if that's the right word. And making sure that it doesn't upset everything.
I'd be tempted to know if the inductive heater is live power or DC power.
No, it's live.
Because, well, you could do the switching to live.
Oh, the inductive. Sorry,
I
thought you were talking about the S4.
No. The inductive part of Index is, well, you're not going to need that much power. You do need a minimum amount to create an inductive field, because it is lossy.
Yeah, I mean, you could pulse DC to get AC, right?
Yeah, like you could easily rectify it, or well, reverse rectify it back into an AC current, and then that would work.
But that's
and it
lossy.
Would be easier. Oh, it is lossy, but you also mean you control the entire, because you have to filter it then. And then you don't get dirty power directly into your printer doing random PWM cycling. That's how I would do it. Now, I am not the geniuses at Bondtech who have actually designed and made this thing and doing all the testing for it.
Well, to do inductive right, don't you want, like, buttloads of amps?
No,
So
I think it's voltage mostly because you want to make an EMF field. God, I'm going back to education that I have completely
yeah,
forgotten about.
yeah. So it would be the right hand rule, right? So like
Yeah.
this, but how does that work with
I'm literally just getting up my
voltage and
workbooks that tells me the
amperage?
equations. So,
Cheater!
so the problem with me is I'm mostly a programming side. Now, while I am electrically trained and mechanically trained, I learnt how to learn from the programming, which is remember where to find information. Don't remember the information because you end up getting overloaded with information. So instead, I remember where I can find what I need to find. So in this case, it is the back of the book of the engineering Bibles and being like, oh, it's this equation. This is the number that goes up to the square versus this is linear.
Uh,
Uh,
Shane Christensen with the $20. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Says it's most definitely the flux capacitor causing the flicker. 1.21 gigawatts can do this, Grant. Duh. This is fair. I still laugh about that whole scene of 1.21 gigawatts where they likely meant gigawatts, and because we hadn't really gone into a world where giga was a word that was used often, it was functionally mispronounced. At least that's what I hope. And it wasn't just a deliberate joke at how many watts a flux capacitor would actually need. And to be clear, you would not measure a capacitor in watts. You'd measure it in joules. Okay, right? You would measure it in farads if you're gonna do that. But the energy output would be measured in joules, not watts. But whatever, fine. Nikolaj is asking, what's your education history as, Jacob? You seem quite knowledgeable on this subject. Wait a minute. Is that a slight against me? Wait, hold the phone real quick right now.
Moving on.
Because this feels like I think I'm being slighted on this. It says Jacob's really knowledgeable. What about me? What about me? What?
So
Jacob,
for this equation, we're looking at Gauss law, or Gauss law. I think it's Gauss. I'm really bad with pronunciations. Gauss. I know it's not spelt the way you think it. Well, that's the thing. I remember getting told it's the opposite way you think it's pronounced. But I'm dyslexic, so I pronounce things wrong. So am I pronouncing it wrong, flipping it to right, and then back to wrong? Or did I pronounce it right because I'm wrong, flipping it to wrong, which is now back to right? Dyslexia.
Yo, dog, I heard you like names and stuff. Oh no, there's Nikolaj saying, sorry, Grant, English is my first language. Buddy, I am just giving you a hard time. I'm going to be real clear on this. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Wait, no. English isn't his first language, so he's better at it than us. That was actually him dabbing on us.
That's fair, honestly.
Look, we sit here getting there, and there wrong while they actually learn it correctly the first time. Just saying. Like,
it's true.
It's that. But no, so my background was at college level. So this is like 16 to 18. I did mathematics. I did a year of that. I did 2 years of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and design engineering. Then I went to university and I did 5 years of software engineering. So that is like the nice book ended. Most of the physical education was there, but a lot of it was learned externally to that. So there was a lot of open projects, a lot of spare time, and it's just being a hobbyist with way too much time and access to the internet and not enough money. Because you know what's cheaper than building something is reading a research paper on somebody else that built what you wanted to do.
It's fair.
And Google Scholar sucks.
Steve C brings up an interesting question. Magnetic field's inductance as it applies to the index. I'm wondering how carbon fiber affects the heating. And that's his question. So,
that's really interesting. I thought the same, but not with carbon fiber. Metal infused polymers. Like the BASF stainless and the coppers.
And then everything from the virtual foundry. I would say that if anything, it's just going to preheat the filament, right?
Oh, but that might become tricky.
It could
You want to
superheat it.
control when it can melt. Well, if the field isn't perfectly contained to within the nozzle and it leaks over, it could heat the material above the nozzle.
Heat creep.
Oh, not even heat creep. Just literal heat the filament above where it's supposed to be heated. Like if you had no, let's call it a heat crucible, because I don't know exactly what is the heat transfer. I'm
It's
assuming
a slug
it's a
of
thin
copper, most likely.
I don't even think it's going to be a slug. I think it's going to just be a really thin wall tube. And knowing Bondtech, they've probably got a thin wall tube that they then push a CHT insert into for when they go to the CHT index, because you don't need the thermal mass. It only heats up in 10 seconds. So I think thin wall.
Cotter Shover's right.
In
Skin effect. No, you don't have to worry about it. Skin effect.
What's the skin
all
effect?
the amperage is on the outside. All the amperage is on the outside. So,
that's true.
Yeah. So the only reason that we have big cables is to deal with the heat. Like you could easily run a ton of power through copper tubes. You just have to fill them with glycol and have a radiator system built into it so that you can dissipate the heat that's lossy associated with it. And that's why we don't electrocute elephants.
I did not get that reference.
No?
Oh,
no, that's an Edison versus Tesla problem.
Oh,
where Edison electrocuted an elephant to show that DC was safer. Topsy. Yeah, I thought it was Topsy. Yeah, Edison was a real piece of shit. Like, straight up, Thomas Edison, patent thief, absolute just jerk. And I get it. Tesla had a thing for pigeons, but, like, it could be worse. It could be children.
To be fair to me, I am getting distracted quickly, like proofreading the difference between Gauss law, Faraday's law, and Maxwell Ampere law to figure out was it voltage or amperage, and the answer is both.
Yeah,
kinda.
Of course,
which is, to be fair, what I expected.
Electrical theory is a pain. Also, David Cotter with the $10. Thank you for contributing to the ad-free streams. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated.
I mean, it still makes me stand by that electronic engineering is just black magic, and I do not understand it. I like gears and cogs and heat. Things I can quantify by touching it, licking it, or crushing my hand between it. Electricity is just this weird, it's in your brain. Don't like it. It's funky. It's like, how do magnets work? Like, really? Do we actually understand how magnets work?
Were you on when I got really heavily zapped the other day when I was in the Discord? No? Nope. All right. I'm going to just...
I regret missing this now.
No, so I'm going to explain, and I still don't know what happened. So I was changing out the filament on the +4, and I had one hand on the shelf, my metal shelf, and then I had one hand that was feeding the filament into the machine. And I got one of the worst static shocks of my life. It was such a high static shock, it woke the XL up. So the lights on the XL undimmed. Because like the XL, so the XL, yeah, the XL, the Mark 4S, and the Mark 4, they all lit up. Because they dim, their lights dim. And all of my machines that can dim their screens undimmed. So it was enough energy to create enough EMF that all of my machines with touch screens and that have knowledge of, you know, if they're in like a low power state, they all woke up. It hurt.
Concern.
It was quite a few thousand volts.
What were you doing before then? Just like shuffling your socks and feet on the carpet for 55 minutes straight?
The shelf is grounded. So even if I was...
That shouldn't have been possible.
When I was holding on to the shelf...
Well, actually, no. If the shelf was grounded, was the static transferred from the... Well, it has to be from an isolated object into the ground.
My best
guess. So it's either you or the printer or the filament.
It was the filament.
Maybe the static.
I think it was filament going through the Bowden tube.
Well, PTFE is highly resistive, so it will hold a charge for ages. It won't dump it very easily.
Buddy, it hurt bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this, kids, is why we do 22 kilovolt testing for shocks on the power supplies.
All the machines survived, but they all woke up. I'm like waiting for them to, like, you know, redim their lights, like, oh God, please don't kill it, please don't kill it, please. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay. It was good. But yeah. Yeah. Apparently Edison paid children to bring him stray dogs to electrocute. Yeah, Edison. I don't know if that's actually real, but that sounds like something Edison.
To be fair, back in the day, the children did yearn for the mines. So,
I mean, that's fair.
Got to put them to work.
Dominic Versetto must be a local person. Said Tampa needs a rep fest. I agree, but the problem is Florida is not very welcoming to a fair portion of this community, so I doubt we're going to have, like, a proper rep fest. If we were going to do it, I think Atlanta or somewhere in the Atlanta area would make sense. It's a bigger airport, it's easier to fly into, and you can likely get pretty cheap tickets to fly into it, so that would be my guess. I would love to have one here in Tampa. I don't have the throughput to do it. The closest thing that we get is the Orlando Maker Fair, which is turning more into like the Orlando Craft Fair and more of, hi, buy my 3D printed dragon fair, which is not really what I want. But I mean, hey, if more people are getting into it, fine. Is what it is. Yeah, oh, Steve Builds is here. Hey, Mr. Steve Builds. I like the idea of having an inductive heater, but because I've never used one, like, outside of a shop, I'm not certain that, I need it.
So, I have a similar mindset, but then it did break halfway through thinking it through. So for a single tool hot end, I don't see the point. Other than maybe now this will require testing, which we haven't done because we don't have it. If inductive means you can put more heat into the filament effectively, then it makes sense. But let's just assume it is the same transfer rate per energy as a copper slug. So it's just a regular heater, copper block heater. Let's assume they're the same. For a single tool heater, once you're at temperature, you're not changing. So that benefit of heating up very quickly and cooling down goes away. Except, this is where I saw a forum post on the Duet forums about heat controlling the flow based on how much flow rate you have. So when the flow rate drops in like a very slow to move area, it will automatically drop the heat.
Temperature, yep.
And then the moment where you're requesting more flow rate, especially if you're doing like more flow than is normally possible, you just bump that heat up as much as you can. That I really liked, because if your heat up and cooldown times are 10 seconds, that isn't just 10 seconds, it's faster than 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's like
10 seconds. Yeah, because it's 10 seconds to heat the metal jacket and for it to transfer to the material, for it to be ready to print. If you're already mid-printing, your jacket is already hot, and your filament is already hot to that lower temperature of, say, 190 versus 250. So you probably only need 1 second to heat that nozzle up to whatever new temperature, and cooling is much faster, because you've got cold material entering the nozzle. So I legitimately think the next big invention on Index isn't even Index. It's temperature controlled flow from a firmware standpoint.
Yeah,
being able to dynamically, like, imagine, like, let's take Bamboo Lab, because everyone pretty much knows what Bamboo Lab does at the moment. They've got the ludicrous mode. All it does is it changes the speed. It doesn't change the temperature.
Does not change temperature or flow rate. It just goes faster.
It just does more. So you are requesting more flow for that set amount of G-code that was only really designed with a maximum flow rate of, call it 12 or 16, and now your ludicrous is requesting 25. That will have problems because you're requesting more than the nozzle can cope with. Index, however, with that ability to just heat it up instantly, if you request more, it will just heat it up more. So you could have like a graph, just a linear graph of this flow rate is this temperature instead of one temperature. And that opens up so many opportunities where I'm going to print the Benchy smokestack. Yeah, 160 degrees, the minimum for the material, because it's just not moving.
Yeah, it doesn't have the flow
the
rate.
body at max flow. Like,
right.
That I see is the next big thing from inductive. And that's why I'm really interested in it. What are your thoughts?
I like it. Give me a second, because I want to thank Mr. Steve Builds for the 10 gifted memberships. Tactical Printing, Pico Boo, Jody C, Ivan Jovic, Nick, Jason with their probably ham radio call sign, F, Romans, Just My Day, and Marcel all got memberships. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve Builds. And of course, when we are done hanging out, we're gonna go have you guys go. We'll go raid Steve, and we will go hang out with him. He's working on upgrading refreshing a Prusa Mini. And hey, by the way, 136 viewers, 38 likes. Pump those numbers up. I love this idea of being able to dynamically adjust temperature like that. So, like, on my +4, I'm trying to run it as fast as I humanly can, but there are times where I have to slow the machine down. Like, I find that its acceleration is too fast in some areas. So what I've done is I've taken the small perimeter threshold and I've moved it to 30 millimeters. So on on like small text movements, or on let's say I'm doing like a dovetail joint, and I have like that part of the dovetails all solid. I don't want it to move very fast for that, because it will fail. Its extruder cannot keep up with its rate of acceleration sometimes. So I just so I'm kind of already doing this. I'm dynamically adjusting my flow rate with speed. I'm not doing it with temperature. The thing is, though, I have to make sure that when I'm slowing the machine down, I'm not slowing it down so much that it's going to jam, because we're running PETG at 277 right now, which is very hot for PETG. And I found that 275, right on the bottom edge, 285 is kind of on the top edge. So 277 for me, happy medium, even if it cools a little bit, we're okay. But being able to
I'm so glad you said that, because I've started doing the same.
Yeah, being able to dynamically adjust my flow rate as well would be huge. And I guess technically that's what we're doing. We're dynamically adjusting flow rate, but adjusting temperature with it, because the thing, like, look at overhangs, for God's sakes. When your machine slows down, to give you more cooling on an overhang, cool the hot end down too.
Especially because you're now printing slower. You're now putting more heat into the plastic. And that it counteracts what you're aiming to do, which is more cooling.
It does.
So this, I do wonder if we would actually now get better overhangs just in general, if we could do that.
I believe that we will, but it's gonna. So we've got a chicken and egg problem here, right? We have to wait for the software to enable this thing as well, because this idea is possible, but currently there is no slicing software that supports this. And I'm sorry, Bondtech, but unless you bring me a Orca slicer that works with everything the way that it is, with your extra features, I'm not going to use it. The same way that Cheaty has Cheaty slicer, Elegoo has Elegoo slicer, I don't use them. I'm not going to use them, because I want a unified slicing program. We use Prusa Slicer for the Prusas, Orca Slicer for everything else, and that is the only thing that I'm going to accept right now, unless you present me with a slicer that solves all of these problems, which I wholeheartedly doubt is going to happen, because Bondtech is a hardware company. They're not a software company.
Can I sit here with my smug look of satisfaction for 1 second and think,
oh Jesus,
I think we already have that implemented in firmware. I think I'm looking for it now. I think the Duet firmware stack, so RepRap firmware, has that implemented in the firmware stack. I think it's called temperature feed forward. So it doesn't work with boosting. So you set a max temperature and a max flow rate, and it will dynamically cool to whatever your minimums are.
But
And
in
that
most
is a
cases,
preset.
it takes 30 seconds to raise temp,
Yes.
especially mid-print. If it can do it in 4 seconds... Well,
so I remember reading on the forum, adaptive feed forward. That's what it's called. Found it.
Adaptive feed forward. Okay.
Adaptive.
So maybe Clipper
adaptive
has it
temperature
too.
feed forward.
Not that I would know that, because I definitely didn't burn up a motherboard on live stream.
Half of the issues that I read on the forum regarding it are they have to like mess with the safety of the machine because the machine is triggering the temperature sensors too early.
Yep.
So they're lowering the sensitivity so it allows it to cool and heat.
It triggers thermal runaway too early.
It triggers thermal runaway because if you've ever tried to lower the temperature of a filament mid-print on a heavy flow section and then raise it while it's in that heavy flow, most like temperature compensation stuff will just like error out. It will see that it's raising but slower, and then it'll be like, oh, it's supposed to be this fast when it's heating. Well, that's because it's not expecting it to heat while printing, and that's why it faults. But yeah, I think we've got it in RepRap firmware already.
Dynamically cooling isn't that big of a deal, right? Because all you have to
really has to include dynamic heating.
Yeah, the dynamic heating is where thermal runaway will come in. So, all right, if it exists in RepRap, then it probably exists in Clipper. It'd be nice if this is just a firmware thing, but how would you... And this is kind of where, like, for an ideal printer for me, it needs to have good software integration. Because, like, if you're going to sell me a printer, and, like, I'm currently looking at pre-ordering some Centauri carbons, Elegoo announced a price increase. They have not announced how much. They have not announced when. They have announced that it is likely going to happen. So I'm looking at... And, like, okay, now I have to play this game of... Will I get them before we remove the tariffs? And do I care enough to put pre-order money down now? Because I'm like, oh, a Centauri carbon, I'll throw a chamber heater in it, and I have a +4 for $300, right? I just don't know. Their software stack is not great. I don't think that there's going to be a good profile in Orca, so I'm going to spend a lot of time basically modifying a Bamboo profile to make it work, like a P1P profile or P1S profile to make it work. And well, that's stupid. If an ideal printer to me has integrated software support with the major open source slicers that exist. I totally understand some companies wanting to have closed source slicers, and specifically I'm looking at Formlabs for this, right? Because they're on the higher end of the affordable range. They're like $3,500. But for what Formlabs offers for resin printers, I do think their money is worth it. Their ecosystem is worth it.
I think just resin printers in general, as well as especially like polymer powder printers, just because they're not filament generalized the same thing but different shell type thing. Having dedicated slicers for those machines from certain companies does make sense in my eyes.
Well, so we've got Lychee, or Lychee, which is freemium. We have Chi2 Box, which is garbage but free. You know,
I've had good use with Chi2 Box, though I'm scared to update it because it might break everything.
Yeah,
Is it buggy? Yes. If I full screen it, does it close one of my windows? Yes. If I put it on another window, does it make my HDR of my middle monitor permanently break until I reset the monitor? Yes.
And this is why I'm okay with Lychee. I use the free version right now. I wish they would offer a monthly premium because I don't do enough resin printing to like pay it yearly. But anyways, you know, having an integrated software stack would be nice, whether that is just a tuned profile on Orca. And for the love of all things that is holy, please have Prusa-style profiles where they're crazy conservative, right? Don't give me a profile that's running, you know, materials at 99% of what the machine is capable of. Give it to me at 75% and then let me choose if I want it to go faster. Right? Like, as a business, I don't mind if a part takes an extra hour or two. Like, I am currently running some parts. Oh, you guys can't see them because my monitor's cropped now. I'm currently running some parts behind me. It would normally be in the shot, but because of the new thing that we have, it's not. I can really turn them up, and they're going to take 2 hours, 45 minutes. If I leave them at stock speeds, it's 3 hours and 5 minutes. I'm not going to risk a stupid failure for 10 minutes, right? It's not worth it. I prefer stability and reliability over speed, and that's a personal thing. So.
God damn it, SoundSpark. You typed something in chat about how I can fix my HDR, and my entire train of thought following ground just poof.
That's fine.
Poof. The funny thing is, he typed it immediately. The HDR on my middle monitor, because YouTube integration with HDR is ass, just immediately broke and it became high gamut again.
Well, there you go. NVIDIA Profile Inspector set OGL_DX_preset_debug21.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Magic.
Honestly, it's my biggest complaint is Windows's auto HDR is garbage. So I have to use NVIDIA's HDR, which is frankly quite good, but it's fickle. Like it depends when Windows allows it. It works great when it works. When it works.
And so some of the main things that we have in our list, and I think at this point these need to be standards, right? Auto bed leveling and auto first layer with nozzle probing absolute versus distance checking, which is, BL touch inductive clicky. Hell, it could even be how Bamboo does both, right? They'll do nozzle
I'm
probing
frankly
and
in the
distance checking.
mindset where so I put that distance checking in for the differences between, say, a BL touch and beacon. So beacon and other nozzle probing like the Prusa XL uses a load cell. So load cells, piezo sensors, beacon, when it's set with the nozzle probing mode, they are absolute. Oh no, oh god, what is the I just realized there's another from Voron, the one where the head moves up and then it either hits a button or something. The one where the head moves. I can't remember. There's a Voron one where it's basically on a rail and the rail moves and then it clicks a button to say where the thing is. They are all absolute positioning.
Tap.
Oh yeah, because I made the R tap, which is just tap but upside down. But yeah, thank you everyone. Everyone's mentioning it. Oh my god, I forgot that. But yeah, anything that uses the nozzle as the surface to justify it's pressed something or hit something is an absolute position. And the main important thing for that is if you swap your nozzle, you don't need to change your bed probe. It just works because it's based on the nozzle touching something.
Yep.
If your nozzle heats up to 300 degrees, it will thermally expand. And I actually worked out the difference between PLA temperatures and PETG temperatures on a regular volcano nozzle is 180 microns. It grows by that much. You have to compensate in software, but you can't guarantee it's that length because it depends on where the growth originates from. So you can get more growth upwards than downwards. So it's roughly about 180 microns over a 30 millimeter length. And that's good because having absolute means you don't care about thermal expansion. You don't care about nozzle debris. Well, actually, no, that's the only downside is you do care about nozzle debris. You want to clean the nozzle because that is what it's sensing. But just heat the nozzle up and then it's soft and it doesn't sense it. So that's the trick.
Well, that depends on how delicate your sensor is. So, like Bamboo is able to determine if there is something there. So so like Prusa uses like an on-off load cell, right? It's either triggered or not. Bamboo, I think, is actually measuring the force. And
wouldn't surprise me.
My assumption is the Core 1 is running a newer style, which does have a more accurate load cell, because the Core 1 will throw errors for nozzle cleaning failures. Hilariously, though,
Interesting.
it's often throwing those errors when it doesn't need to, and now there's a whole like firmware update issue that's going on with it where they're giving false positives. Fun times. Thankfully, I don't ever update my firmware, so I'm running an old firmware where it works just fine. So, there's that. But, I had a blob on my bamboo. One time it recognized it, the next time it didn't. So its trigger for it's squishy depends on how hard the blob is, I guess. So it would be nice, but we're getting to a point where nozzle wipers, like the silicone nozzle wipers, or even using a brass nozzle wiper, they're so cheap, they're easy to implement. You should not have crap on your nozzle after going through a silicone and or a brass nozzle wiper. It just shouldn't exist.
And even if it does, there are other methods. So like we've been testing absolute nozzle positioning in factory, and we found the laziest way to make sure the nozzle is clean. Don't even make sure the nozzle is clean. Just touch it until the nozzle senses something. Assume there is gunk on the nozzle. Ram the nozzle into the bed, just in the really far corner where you never print. And just make sure your printer isn't overbuilt so it breaks anything. So like it literally, if there's a squidge, it will just squidge the plastic out the way, let it cool down, and it hardens, and it's perfectly flat. If there's nothing in the way, well, your machine shouldn't be built fickle enough where it just explodes the moment any pressure is put onto a certain part. Though, to be fair, with that being said, if the Quiddy did it, I think it would actually just explode because it's got a ceramic heat break. So that's the only issue, is pressure might break things. But for most printers, it will be fine because there's an allowable flex in a lot of things. Like if you put your hand on like the bed of a printer, you can force it down slightly, it twists.
Right.
Utilize that. That is an allowable tolerance. That is an amount of force you can apply upwards onto your nozzle before it does anything.
That's kind of what bamboo does, right? They when they're doing that in that back edge of the bed you can't print on.
That is what they're doing because they've got a
slams it and then
yeah. That's what they're doing. So that's all they're doing, is they're making sure it's flat. Even if there is material, it's just flattening the material till it's not in the way. You start hot. Actually, yeah, bamboo does it that way. They start hot, then they cool the temperature as they're moving to make sure it's flat. Then they do the sensing.
Cheaty tried to do that with their spring-loaded PEI wiper plate, but it just breaks nozzles, so I deleted it.
The cool thing is you don't even need to move the nozzle to do it. Just heat the nozzle up, squidge, cool it down, move it away, and you're done. So that is one of the benefits of Absolute, is it's absolutely the tip of the nozzle. So you don't need to worry about temperature compensation or the nozzle changing, or even now this is really good for the usability. A customer changes their nozzle, like you change your nozzle. If it's a regular one, you now have to rebed level because the nozzle might be slightly lower or slightly higher.
If your torque values are slightly different, it matters.
Yep.
It matters a lot.
Absolute doesn't care. The nozzle can fall out in Absolute, and it will still sense where the tip of the nozzle is, because even as it's falling out, it will do it.
Yeah, Absolute nozzle
Reference
probing,
doesn't.
like the nozzle booping, is great. Cheaty has both.
Interesting.
They have piezo sensors in the bed, or piezo sensors in the bed, and an inductive probe.
Using the piezo for Absolute, and then using the... To be fair, that is good. So this brings us nicely onto the benefit of reference probes.
Homie, you say
Shut up. We're not talking about the problems of Quiddy, because I have a really cool thing to say, and I can dunk on Quiddy all day for stupid decision. Why did they just stop breaking your nozzles because of marketing bullshit about ceramic? Just use bloody titanium like
I have another
else.
ceramic nozzle coming from them.
Oh,
this is my 4th. I'm not paying for them. They're sending me new ones because they keep breaking and they're under warranty. Send me more. I don't care.
Good. Yeah. They will learn the hard way via you claiming warranty. They have to.
Yeah.
But no, going back to it. So the benefit of inductive and BL touch and all of the others that are reference points. And I should say reference points are the sensor goes off and you have reference that it is roughly a distance away from the nozzle. So as the inductive probe comes down and activates, or if it's the other way, activates, you then go, oh, I need to move 2 more mil to hit the nozzle. It means the nozzle never comes in contact with the bed. So there's no risk of jams or blobs on the nozzle ruining things, or as you probe, you put little dots of plastic all over the place. That is the main benefit of reference. But it's fickle. It's fickle enough that we have the Prusa meme of live adjust Z all the time. Just like that is the main issue Prusa dealt with inductive probes, was
to the point
it's an inductive probe.
That if you want to adjust the Z offset on a Prusa and you don't know how to find it, you can't do it. Do you know how to do it on a Prusa?
I know that you do a dial and that's it. And I did it once and I've never done it again.
You hit and hold the button now. So if you want to adjust your Z offset, your live adjust Z, you hit and hold the main scroll wheel button. You long press the button knob, and then it will bring up the menu. That's the only way to get to it.
It's perfect because it shows how common that issue is.
Well, no, they hit it. They hit it because you should not ever have to do it. And the other issue that you're missing with the inductive sensors is that beds with not a full magnet.
Oh, you're talking about the ones with the new sensors. So I still thought we were talking about the Mark III.
No. So the Mark III, the Mark III went through some fun firmware issues because they were using the regular PINDA sensor. The regular PINDA sensor is susceptible to magnets. Magnetic fields will trigger the inductive sensor. So there was a community G-code for running the plate that would skip the areas of the magnets. And it was so good, Prusa just implemented it themselves. And now they have a whole thing called magnetic compensation. That was back when open source was like the king. You know, where if you weren't open source, you weren't surviving. And I find it funny that in our list, outside of like Marlin's mainline Clipper and or open source firmware, we don't have anything about open source machines.
Yeah.
Changing of the times, man. Like, if you asked me 5 years ago, I would tell you that if it wasn't an open source machine, I'm not buying it. Right? Like, I don't want a machine that's going to be locked in an ecosystem that a company can charge whatever they want. But Bamboo, Creality, Elegoo, they've all shown that they're willing to price their accessories somewhat reasonable in an exchange for maintaining a closed source ecosystem.
Yeah.
So
I'm so jaded when it comes to open source now that I feel like I shouldn't talk about it.
The problem with open source is that it just fuels it fuels your competition.
It's business suicide. And that doesn't mean you have to be open source. Like I say now, our printers are open source, but we will never claim as a company our printers are open source. And we will take other companies to court if they copy our machine, even though every part was chosen because it's open source hardware. And we use the term open by design because we wanted to give the ability of open source to anyone who wants it. But we also need to protect ourselves as a company.
Yeah.
And that's also the issue with open source is the moment you put the open source logo and claim open source, you're doing the exact opposite of a patent. You're giving any company that doesn't want to do the legwork for all the research you've done to make the thing that you've just designed. And it's good where you're doing something that isn't profitable. Like, say it's a custom AMS for a very niche use case that no company wants to pick up because it's too costly or it's so niche that they'll sell 4 of.
Yep.
That's where open source makes a lot of sense. But 3D printing, as much as I hate to say it, it's not niche anymore. It has hit mainstream.
Yeah, it is getting much more to mainstream. And like open source is good for community products, you know, like you said, like Voron and Box Turtle and things like that, where, you know, but again, the only reason that like the Box Turtle is even possible is because there are companies out there that we can trust to manufacture with. Like, I am engaging with Big Tree Tech to fix the problems with the +4. Right? I am still of the mindset of I need to do everything myself. Right? I need to get the circuit boards manufactured. I need to 3D print in metal, most likely. The adapters fit the bamboo hot ends and this, that, and the other thing. And I need to do all this myself. But we have companies that we can reasonably trust right now that can do the work for us. And while, yes, that means we receive less money, we certainly maintain considerably less risk associated with the project as well. So, you know, we found this happy medium where traditionally Chinese companies are not very, let's go with forthcoming when it comes to intellectual property, and they tend to abuse open source. We have companies that are based out of China right now that we can legitimately trust. And as soon as we can't, they're done. Right? As soon as LDO, for some reason, I don't think they're ever going to, but as soon as LDO betrays this community, the community will abandon them faster, faster than, you know, just faster than me getting zapped the other day. I mean, this community is loyal, but they're also kind of problematic in their loyalty. Because their loyalty...
If you base your company and your success around goodwill, it just takes one PR nightmare. One message in the wrong way on a social media, and everything that's been built up over years of trying just disappears. And it could be an honest mistake. Like, it could literally be someone hacked your account and said something. But the moment that seed of... It's not even like betrayal, just that
doubt.
seed of
just
uncertainty.
Yeah.
A lot of it does disappear. And it's a really difficult decision to make from a business side, where most of the businesses in 3D printing are only here because open source was the groundwork for them.
All of them are. Let's be clear with this. All of them are. Even Bamboo acknowledges that they are built upon the open source giants that came before them. Successful or otherwise.
Yeah. And it's a game companies have to play. And I don't actually blame any Chinese company for abusing open source. Because that is the point of open source, is you gave up the rights to do anything to help further development. Now, do they go a bit too far with closed sourcing something that is supposed to be open source? Yes. But invention is a resource, and there's only a limited amount of invention, no matter what anyone says. Thoughts, while free, are limited. Anyone can think of a painting. Actually, look at the AI for paintings. AI is literally just data out amalgamations. If you've looked at every painting, you can invent every other painting between every painting. There's only limited types of art and things, even if it's inconsequential to the human mind. There is only so much you can think. And that goes for the future, and that goes for the past. There will be a point where all knowledge is consumed, and we have everything. So even if a company mostly uses 99% open source, it's that 1% that they keep internal that breaks the open source everything, and they can close source that.
And there are some people that like give Prusa hell about it, right? Where Prusa claims that certain machines are open source, and well, they're really not technically. And it comes down to interpretation of the guidelines of it. But as we've talked about before, open source has no teeth. You can sue, fine, but you're going to have to go sue where these other companies are located. Open source doesn't have the teeth of being able to have injunctive measures put in where you can stop stuff from being imported into a country. Not that that's a particular problem anymore. You know, but as VAT Engineering and Tarsman are saying, your community is quick to discredit and abandon anyone, even honest mistakes and missteps. Bamboo is a good case. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. Tarzman said, no one has called Bamboo the worst. Their business practices are up there, and their machines aren't horrible. No one is perfect, but they've misstepped a ton, including specifically dragging us through the mud, and then not releasing an apology when we proved that they were wrong and lying. Yes, all of that is still a sour point for me, and keeps me from actively recommending their machines. Even though I've had better experiences with their machines, the way that they've treated their own community, including the content creators that make content good, bad, and different, is, well, it's abusive. And, you know, I've left relationships for less reasons, all right? Like, I'm not a fan of getting called a baseless liar, proved that I'm not a baseless liar, and then a retraction never put out. So if all you do is read their PR stuff, you think that some random YouTuber is a baseless liar. If you were following it during the time that it all occurred, it was very clearly written toward me. So I don't want to harp on that too much, but I will say it is and will be a forever sour point with that company. And we should have better communication with them. They should have better communication with us. But they chose violence, so they angered the Cuban in me, not the Polish. So,
God, if it was the Polish, that would be a big mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get on the Polish.
Well, no, the Cuban side of me just gets angry. The
Polish... I'd rather take the Cuban angry. I know Polish angry. I just saw Polish angry today. We had these two Polish absolute chads, both of them called Wojak, and they were going ham with long swords, and you just sit back going like,
so you've never been threatened with a chancla before?
No.
Yeah, and see, that, sir, is why you're not afraid of Cubans, okay? All right? That's why you're not afraid. You gotta have a Cuban lady, specifically. It has to be a Cuban lady. Cuban men will just beat the hell out of you. Cuban ladies will threaten you with the chanclas. And anyone that grew up in a Spanish-style household, Hispanic or otherwise, that sandal, those are heat-seeking missiles. I firmly believe that Raytheon and Lockheed and all the other morally ambiguous or otherwise companies are utilizing Cuban women as like training algorithms for heat-seeking missiles. I firmly believe that they're using the chanclas and the data that comes out of these thrown sandals as a method of training missiles. And none of you have any evidence to disprove this.
I love this so much.
You know, if so, at a certain price point, I am okay with not getting my auto first layer.
I don't think so anymore. I don't think so. I think with the advancements of tech,
Centauri and mostly Carbon. Are you okay with the Centauri Carbon not having auto first layer at $300?
No.
No.
Straight up no. I'm not okay with any printer not having auto first layer. And for the main reason...
I'll set it once and then never bother.
Well, so the reason I don't like no auto first layer anymore is because it doesn't cost anything extra to add it. It takes design time to add it, but the cost of the equipment is the same. So I just see it as, for a price of that machine, they just didn't do enough development. Like, I'm okay with it not having it at the moment, but let's say it's 10 years time and it's the same amount of technology and everything and the machines are the same. It would have auto first leveling because it doesn't cost anything extra. They're probably maybe using old stock and that keeps it cheap.
Well, you have to remember it's software. And what are these companies really not good at? Right? Software. The Elegoo, the Anycubics. I'm sorry, guys. You know, let's call it what it is. You all are hardware companies. You don't have great, you know, trials with software. Even Cheaty doesn't, right? Cheaty's own clipper. It's not mainline and it's not locked. Like, anybody, they haven't released the source for it, but they don't need to because they didn't lock it down. Anybody can release updates for Cheaty. Here's where it gets dangerous. It's not signed either. To my understanding, it's not signed. And if any bad actor can get access to the OTA system for the +4, they can push whatever firmware they want to these machines, and there is no way to stop it. This is why,
so it's open source with an OTA system with no signing.
It's not open source. It's closed source, but it's not protected.
Oh, I don't like that. I'm sorry, but I am a bit paranoid when it comes to firmware OTA. Because if it gets ever intercepted, you have a fire equipment. Like, the printers catch fire if you turn off safety equipment. Firmware turns it off. Don't have a method to turn off your safety equipment via the internet. That doesn't matter if it's a printer or real life. If your device could go deadly, don't have it internet connected in a way that is
But again, this is where we have a hardware company that doesn't do a lot of software. The only reason I know this is I refuse to internet connect my machines. So, you know, they're like, well, why don't you just connect to it, go into Clipper, and then, you know, remove this part? I'm like, I'm not going to connect my machine, and I don't feel like digging in the back of it to find where the Ethernet cable goes. So Madam Vega from their Discord sent me a firmware for it that just removes the wiping feature from the start macro. You can't do that with machines that have signed firmwares.
And I want to put to everyone that's watching
doodles.
I am involved with certain military steering groups within the country. And one of the things that was brought to us was literally from a manufacturing point of view, not like military warfare. We're talking manufacturing, how to do this. Like, literally how to damage a foreign near-peer enemy's infrastructure by just accessing their machinery. This was like a legitimate, like, here is the talking docket, let's talk about it. And they were taking it seriously. This isn't like it's a risk, it's real. And I've been in the meetings where they're talking about it. And I'm not talking like people like us, where we're good at this job and all of that. I love how you immediately turn with that face of just, oh, fuck, that printer made a noise I don't recognize. Everyone in this group knows exactly what that face is.
Yeah. That's like, noise!
But no, like, I was in a meeting with just your standard middle-aged to elderly military people, like just contractors and all this. These aren't 3D printing enthusiasts or manufacturing enthusiasts. These were, I work in HR. And that's the level of, this is real, not a made-up threat that we need to keep in mind whenever we talk about security and safety. And eventually something will happen. So, see, the noise. Once you hear it, you have to investigate. You can't say no.
Take the ball out of my printer.
I'm not even going to ask. Okay, now I'm going to ask.
A weight for the AMS rolls inside of the spool.
Oh, just keep it down so it doesn't pull up?
Yep.
I'm stealing that.
It's a solid.
That is smart.
Don't go. I think the 2-inch is just too large. So this is a 2-inch.
That's what she said.
Ball bearing. Weighs 500 grams. Maybe. I don't know. It's heavy.
So I can't get you a tungsten ball.
You can just use a smaller one. But yeah, it's a ball bearing. The idea is that it keeps smaller like reels from getting caught up in the AMS. But if your roll isn't perfect and you know it kind of wiggles in the AMS, this makes it worse. So yeah, still working through that. I'm gonna get the 1.5 inch and see if the weight is less, and that's better, but whatever. This is why it's great to have a co-host on the show, because I can just get up and take care of that instead of letting it sit for the next probably 2 hours,
No,
wasting
look, we're
time.
professionals. You could have done it anyway. Like how I definitely made a really good entrance to this podcast today.
I mean, hey, wouldn't be my first time.
While we're distracted, I saw a question for me that I really wanted to answer because it's definitely not my hyper focus at the moment.
Sure.
Ricardo asked me which HEMA school I'm with. I'm with Wolf's Head, Lincoln. We actually just did Wolf Call tournaments yesterday and today, and I was one of the scorers. So I was with a group of 3 in my lane, and we were giving points and marks and making people angry that we didn't see where they got stabbed because it was completely occluded by their body. There you go.
You
Sword
just play with our
fighting.
balls on stream.
Sword. Well, you've gone through an accident. You only have 1.
Yeah, I used to be a cyclist, so that checks out. I have 4. I can go get the other ones.
Do I say something controversial right now? Back onto the topic of open source. I think after doing this business for so long, working with the open source community, wanting to give back, that's the big thing. As a person and a maker first, I want open source to stay alive for as long as possible.
As a maker, yes, I agree.
I think it's dying.
It is dying.
I think it's dying hard.
It's not a controversial topic. It's real. It is dying. Prusa has moved away from open source.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, that indicates that open source is dying. Now, there are projects like the Voron project and things like that. I mean, even Sovol is kind of keeping... It's funny that Sovol, of all companies, is keeping open source alive, but it's because they're copying Voron and they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But when Prusa...
I mean, they did have a choice. They could have just not done it because it's open source. They
that's
didn't
fair.
need to do it.
I
They're
think
just being
Sovol,
the good guys.
I think Sovol's handling it right. So, but like you said, the minute Sovol screws that up, they're gonna lose the trust of the company. The issue. So the issue with Prusa removing from open source is that was one of the big reasons to buy them. And you paid the Prusa tax because of open source. Well, now what am I paying the Prusa tax for? Now, I know specifically that it's for Prusa Slicer and the support and the fact they're vertically integrated, but that's no excuse anymore, right? They just
I mean, you could have still been open source with all of that, but it just does. I'm not dying. I didn't just choke on my tongue.
Okay, well, don't swallow it. If Amber was closer, I'd ask her what choking on your own tongue is indicative of. I think it's stroke when you choke. Anyways, I'm not smart enough for that.
But we play with machinery, not biomachinery. They're different things.
Nope. But yes, I do agree that I do agree that open source is dying in this industry. And it's a bummer.
I mean, it makes sense when you change, like every topic we make, just change the industry as a reference point. So we go, oh, open source in this, where companies do this. Just change the name of, like, it's not 3D printing anymore. It's the oil and gas industry. It's the military industry. It's the textile industry. Just change the name of it and see if your argument makes sense. And all of a sudden, if you change it to something that is well established in the mind, like oil and gas, and we have the exact same thing. Like there's a open source oil and gas gasifier that is really good and the community loves it and everything. Well, the moment you said oil and gas, you're like, oh yeah, they're just going to steal it because that's industry. That's just regular industry.
You want to know the cool thing about oil and gas? You're totally
the
wrong.
Fact that please tell me I'm wrong. Please correct my mindset.
You are, because 1, I used to work in this industry. 2, one of our like kind of channel supporters, Diamondback, they're born from an oil and gas company, and I've heard the stories from them. So the oil and gas industry would be open source if they could keep themselves honest. So instead, they're closed source, but they're closed source in a unique way. They patent things. They close source it, and then they license it for basically free. They license it for a very reasonable rate, which to me is the ideal combination of open and closed source. Because what you've done is you've allowed that asset of the patent to go onto the books of the company, adding value to the company itself. But you're not stifling innovation in the industry by maintaining that IP for yourself. Everybody who is a company that you're friends with, right? Because this is the cool thing. You can just keep the companies you don't like from using it. So you're inclined to be nice to other people and maintain these relationships to keep these items available to you. I think it's a great way to handle this open source dying problem. Close source it, fine, but don't lock it down. Allow people to apply for a reasonably priced, I'm looking for like the right term for this, but allow them to apply for like a reasonably,
like a license agreement.
Yeah, a reasonably priced licensing agreement, right? Where they have utilization of it, whether there is a price, maybe it's a percentage of each. Take 5% or 3% of each printer sold with your tech in it and move on with your life. License it out for a reasonable price. You maintain this asset as a book-based asset. So if you decide to sell, let's say Prusa was going to sell their company. What assets does Prusa have? Outside of the physical assets that exist in their company, they don't have a lot of IP prior to the Mark IV.
It makes sense, because if everything's open sourced, what's there to buy?
And don't get me wrong, I don't think that Prusa's selling anytime soon. There's no indication that they're selling anytime soon. But as a lot of open source companies have seen, E3D being one of them have seen this, and E3D's openly discussed this, that all open source has done for them is just give their competitors the upper hand because they get all the benefit of it without any of the R&D. And that's why we tell people to support open source where they can, but and buy real where you can, but in the event that you can't, go buy the clones. And then if you want to give $5 to the closed source, the OGs of it, fine. Or the open source, give $5 to that project. Great. They'll appreciate that. Get into it how you can, but keep and be knowledgeable of why this stuff exists in the first place.
Interesting. Yeah. I like that. I just think I've been oil and gas pilled a little bit too recently, because I only recently learned how much investment oil and gas is making into renewable energies of all things. That caught me by surprise.
They know
this.
I mean,
they know it's over. They know oil and gas is over.
Okay. Like everywhere but the United States.
Yes. And I'm not saying, nobody clip this. I'm not saying oil and gas good. Don't you dare do it, Grant. Don't do it. Oil and gas is not a good industry. They're not your big brother. They wish they were big brother, but they're not your big brother. But they are spending a lot of money in the good areas, whilst also massively dragging out the bad areas, because it's still profitable for however long they can drag it out until they can make a lot of profit from the renewables.
Well, and so this is where, like, the economy of the United States has some benefit to this, and the laws regarding publicly traded companies. They are legally required to do this because they must do what is in the best interest of their shareholders, and that is a legal requirement. They are a fiduciary. They must do what is in the best interest of their shareholders, period. And if that is looking at and investing into alternative energy fuel sources because oil is dying, they must do this. If they have this idea brought up, it is proven to be a profitable idea, and they choose not to, shareholders can sue them for a breach of contract and completely wipe out the entire board of directors and bring in their own board. You can literally have your shareholders basically throw a coup on your company. It's how, people like Steve Wozniak and Jobs were thrown out of their own companies because their board said these people are not doing what is in the best interest of the financial future of the company. They're out. Now, I don't always agree with this whole line of fiduciaries for publicly traded businesses, but that is a particular place of where it works. So, and yeah, as Gregory Pfeiffer says, the U.S. having the best racing sports means oil and gas ain't going away. Minus burnouts, because I'm sorry, Australians absolutely destroy the United States when it comes to summer gnats. Summer gnats absolutely wipes the floor with anything that we do here in the States. Summer gnats is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I would love to go to summer gnats one day. Jacob.
What?
Jacob. You know a Mini Cooper? Okay?
Yeah.
Like a Mini Cooper size car.
Cool.
They're putting big block engines into them. So like a 638 or a 732 big block with a blower, making 1,500 to 3,000 horsepower on a mini chassis.
Wait. Are we talking Mini Cooper modern or the good Mini Coopers?
Doesn't matter, Jacob.
80s to 2002?
Doesn't matter. They're putting a 1,000-pound motor, making thousands of horsepower into a vehicle that's shorter than I am, so that they can spin it in circles and roast tires. There is nothing
I'm so glad
about
you said
that
because now
cool.
I know which version you're talking about, which is the cool Mini Coopers and not the new ones which look bad and are big, and I don't like them.
Even the new ones, I think I am taller than. They're not very big.
They are very low to the ground. My friend's dad just bought the electric one, and I'm going to stand by. Anyone who buys an electric Mini Cooper, you're sad because it's bad. It's got no range. It's expensive.
Is it
and
fast?
No.
Well then, yeah. I'm all for I'm all for electric vehicles.
It has an 80-mile range.
It
has 80-mile range. It's stupid. It is. Buy any other car. Buy the petrol version. I don't give a shit. But don't buy a bad battery range electric just because it's a mini.
If it had 800 horsepower and an 80-mile range, we can talk. Right? We can talk.
Yeah. I'm okay to reduce range. I actually believe there should be an option for cars that only have like a 60-mile battery or an 80-mile battery, because that's city cars. You're not driving 300 miles at a time for most people. But you're not going to be charged 50 to 80 grand for that. You're going to be charged less. So, I don't know. That's a complete side
this is where like range anxiety comes in.
This isn't even related to the topic anymore. I'm just talking about cars.
My parents recently bought like the top end Mach-E from Ford. And hilariously, I have not ridden in it yet. I want to. But it's all-wheel drive. It's got like 600 horsepower. But they still get range anxiety with it because they're not used to what that's like. You guys will see a video coming out soon, TM, where we went to Great British Sports Cars, and they make Caterham clones, basically. They might even be certified Caterhams. I don't know for sure, but they're tube frame Caterham cars. If you're a car person, you know what I'm talking about. And they have an electric version that uses a 55 kilowatt hour battery with a base Model 3 engine, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when the entire car weighs 800 pounds and you're putting 300 horsepower worth of electric vehicle into it, yeah, it's gonna rip. But anyways,
honestly, the cars from GBS are the only ones where I felt skip across the ground. Oh, yeah. They lose and gain traction in just the cutest way. They're literally like as they go.
Yeah, and I need all of you to watch those videos so that we can convince them to send me one. Because I will do some of the dumbest 3D printing things you have ever seen with a, car that I can do that stuff with. Oh, proper printing did a wheel, one wheel. Oh, that's cute. We're going to do 4. And then we're going to take it to the racetrack. And we're going to send it down the quarter mile. And we're going to see if it can last going a quarter mile at as fast as I can physically move this vehicle. We're going to do absolute ridiculous stuff. Can you run TPU tires? Great. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. But I'm not spending the money that those cars cost brand new. Jacob, you should watch what those cars are used for me. Keep an eye on their used market, because when we were there, they had one for like 12 grand.
Yeah.
that was used. It was like 6 or 7 years old. It used an older motor that I couldn't get here in the States. So we would have likely...
Which is ironic because it's super common in Europe.
I know, they're
I think
not
it was just
common in
like
the
a
States.
standardized Ford engine.
Yeah.
But they just don't exist in America.
But that's fine. I could say, hey, keep the motor, give me a better deal, ship the frame to the States, and all motor swap it here in the States with like a Mazda Speed engine, a Ford Ecotech motor, something like that. Anyways, I'm a car guy for those that haven't figured that out yet. And yes, all of you that are in our Discord, post Summer Nats videos, tag Jacob in the Cars That Go Vroom channel. And if you're not on the Discord, you're going to miss out on a lot of fun. VAT Engineering wants to know...
I will be educated.
Mitch says, I daily drive a Caterham 7. These are based on the Caterham 7, which is great. The problem is, Mitch, they don't have roofs. So you can only daily drive a Caterham 7 when it's sunny outside.
I mean, like the GBS have roofs. Yeah.
All the ones that I saw didn't.
Yeah, they're the cool ones. They don't have the roofs.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
you know,
they've got fabric ones and they've got some hard shell ones as well. GBS are great.
Founder says they may not let me take that on the track. Founders, I promise you they will. So the closest drag strip to me is Bradenton Motorsports Park, which is now half owned by Cletus McFarland, a YouTuber that does dumb shit with cars. And then we also have we've got a hoity-toity racetrack community that's kind of in between. I forget what they're called. My brother will know what they're called. Yeah, they'll let you do whatever you want. You just sign the right waivers and you're good to go. No big deal. Problem solved. VAT, since we're on the car talk, VAT wanted to know my thoughts on that 20K-ish Slate mini truck. I like it. I think it's interesting. I need to see. So like I built one on their website expecting to see what the price was going to be, and it didn't tell me. I want to see where I spec it out the way that I would want it spec'd, what that price point comes to before I decide if I like it that much. But from what I can see, it, with a few decent options, it starts to get up into Ford Maverick territory, and I've always liked the Ford Maverick as like a daily for me, because I don't need a big pickup truck. A tiny pickup truck is perfectly fine. So anyways, Tina Schultz asked about the US Factory 5818. They did an electric version of it, and there is actually one for sale near me. But they want way too much money for it. They want like 85 for it, and your boy's got YouTube money, but not like that. And by YouTube money, I mean we lose money on YouTube every month.
Yeah.
So
I've seen them behind the scenes. It is good when it's not you.
It's not pleasant, and that's why I remind people to like, subscribe, donate if you'd like to. It goes to the grant doing dumb stuff with dumb vehicles. But yeah, I don't know. I love cars. I try to keep up with the car market as much as I can. I certainly love the idea of the Slate truck, but I do not believe I will be a first adopter of it. There's a lot of questions that I have about it. So, and as Mitch says, long-term ownership on a new car company is risky. 100%. 100%.
It's like I would give anything to get an Aptera, but I'm not going to back the first one until it's been out for a couple of years. It's the coolest thing in my eyes. And I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to wait.
Oh,
and if in doubt, I will make my own. Did it fail?
It stopped. I'm not going to fix it. It's going to keep having problems, so I'm not going to fix it. All right, so the next thing for me is, not unless it's free #sponsored. Look, if there is a car company out there that would like to sponsor a new car for me, I drive a 23-year-old Honda. Okay? If there is a car company out there that wants to sponsor a new car, bet your sweet ass I will talk about it, and I will make 3D printed parts for it. Just saying. What's up, Ford? With your fit system, I could already 3D print. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Not salty, not salty.
What?
You.
I love my old car. I love it.
Yeah, like, hey, you knew my car. My car was a 22-year-old Honda. I love my Honda.
I
I'm actually
love
sad
that
we
Honda.
got rid of it.
No,
That Honda that I had was so fun.
I will run that car. I will maintain it. I will do everything that I can to keep it reasonably in decent condition. Like right now, I had my first dirt road failure. The A-pillar clips, the plastic clips that keep the A-pillar plastic on, have failed because of the dirt road that I drive down. So I have to find the clips, and I'm like, it doesn't bother me that much right now. I'm not going to deal with it at the moment. I've got other things I need to deal with. I went to wash the car last night. The plastic dip is finally peeling off the roof. So at some point in the next couple of days, I have to go ahead and peel the plastic dip off the roof, which is fine. The rest of the paint's starting to get that bad anyways. So now I need to decide if I'm going to get the car fully repainted, if I'm just going to plastic dip the whole car, or I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to do at least the last two myself. I don't know if I'm going to paint the car myself. I don't actually know how to paint cars. But Christopher Elliott has 3D print replacement clips. No, I can buy them for cheap, and they're made out of polycarbonate, and I'll just put them in. So Matt Guess says he has shirts older than that. Yeah. I get it. But yeah, you know, PC Evangelist said, ain't nothing better than a Honda from 20 years ago, to be honest. Yeah. It's a 2002 Honda Accord EXV6, has a 3-liter J series, so it's a good motor, but it's an absolutely garbage transmission. I change out the transmission fluid every single time I change the oil, which is once a year, because I only put like 4,000 miles on this car a year. And you car guys, if you have a Costco card, the Costco full synthetic oil is on sale, so go buy it. It's good oil. All right, back to 3D printer talk.
Okay, continuing on. So concluding... Bed leveling, I think it's mandatory. It should be with an eddy current sensor or something equivalent to a perfect nozzle sensor. That's my vibe. Like, if it's not that, it's not worth it. Like, a piezo sensor is pence. An eddy current sensor is a quid.
It's the software integration. We've been over this.
And it's software integration, and that's it. But we're not talking about bad companies making it. This is the ideal printer. And my ideal printer would be some form of eddy sensor, like 900 point leveling, like perfect bed meshing.
Eddy is absolute 100 by 100 bed level mesh on an eddy takes like 20 seconds.
Yep. Like we're testing at the moment the maximum the firmware will take just because of data, and that is 900 point bed leveling. It's gorgeous. You want 900 bed leveling on a big bed? Cool. It's still tiny little segments.
And it goes
you want 900
like this,
bed
right?
leveling on a tiny thing? You could do that as well.
One of the dumb things, and I'm looking at Cheaty again because they're like the biggest offender of this. USB accessible somewhere useful on the machine, like on the front, or like, you know, whether it's on the side of the screen or on the front of the machine.
Yeah.
Cheaty has theirs on the top of the machine in the back.
No. On the top, at the front, on the front,
nope.
Or at the bottom on the front.
Nope.
Like, that's where you want them.
I want it on the front panel of the machine. I do not want it facing dead upwards. I want it facing
I don't mind it facing upwards. I don't mind it being on the top facing upwards, because on the front, you might knock it off.
Shelves.
I would prefer on the front that way. Like,
if
it had to be on the top, it has to be on the front. Just put it on the front though.
Use a low profile USB drive and be done with it. Right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need, you know, one of these. Do I seriously not? Okay, here's one. You don't need one that's this big sticking out the front of your machine. You can use the tiny low profile ones, that's fine. But like on the Cheaties, I just put a USB extension, then I VHB it to the side of the machine on the front.
Yup.
Right? It's off to the side, but it faces out the front. It's perfect. Yeah, micro SD. They could use micro SD. I'm not a huge fan of micro SD. I find it to fail too quickly. And like the actual port itself is kind of fragile.
Yeah, the port is fragile, and the card is more susceptible to corruption. And as much as this might be the ideal printer we're talking about, ideally we'd have better SD cards, and the motherboards are better made.
I think the SD cards, you can solve that problem by using a high endurance card. That's what I do on the Bamboo.
Yeah, but it's a Band-Aid.
It is a
the
Band-Aid.
issue isn't the cards, it's the card readers. Like they're normally unprotected from EMI, and that's just because the motherboards aren't designed really for data security. Not data security as in getting leaked, but data security is in making sure the bits don't flip.
What about
And
what about A versus C?
right now, I'm USB-A. Bear in mind, most of my devices are now USB-C.
Right.
And
Mine
I
are too.
like USB-C.
I
Like,
do too.
if you're needing high data rate, you're needing universal, you're needing upgradable, future expandable, USB-C is fantastic. But at the moment, there's not enough adoption of USB-C to justify that thing. And I think Mad Cat says it best. Why not both?
Okay, so I could totally
USB-A, USB-C. Done.
So here's why. Well, okay, yeah, you can put them next to each other. Me, I would say give me USB-A and I'll adapt it to see if I want it. The problem I have with USB-C is it's not wide. So it's very susceptible to wiggling.
Actually, I'll give you
right?
that, yeah.
And if you break off that center post in it, you're screwed. And
That's true.
when was the like, how many times have you ran into like USB drives and you'll just pry them out of the machine? You won't snap them. Right? My biggest fear with my phone is that I break the USB-C port and I have to buy a new phone. Right? And like companies make magnetic USB-C cables. They suck at charging, so I don't use them. But they exist. These are things. Right? And like
I mean, plus there's also like the aspect of you don't need the benefit of USB-C, which is speed, data reliability, quality. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All you're really saving is the fact that it's a smaller connector that you can just plug it in straight away.
Yeah, give me both. Like if you're gonna put front panel A, put a C right below it, parallel them together, move on.
Yeah, you don't need the speed. Like you're not running fiber optics through USB-C terminals, and at most you need maybe a megabyte per second. Really, a megabyte per second will load anything your printer is doing at pretty much all times fast.
Yeah.
Anything faster is nice to have, not required.
Right.
So I personally would rather have two USB-As than even an A and a C. Like I'd just rather have A. And drives for A are cheap and they're back portable, and everyone's got a drive for A somewhere. But not everybody has a drive for C.
Yeah, I don't think I have any outside of SSDs. I don't think I have any, because like my desktop has two USB-C ports, they're both on the back. My laptops have one USB-C port and I often use it for charging. So yeah, I think and dual
I'd go with A.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
an A and a C.
Would you go dual port? Would you go dual port A though?
Not necessary. No reason.
I like the idea of having a card in the machine with what you want on it, and then if like you need to just add a file, you could just put a second card in. Like you don't have to take it out and go back and come back. You could just transfer them over.
That's where the Wi-Fi connectivity will come in. So that is not something that I want. I do not want machines. An ideal machine for me is fully air-gapped. It does not have Wi-Fi connectivity. It does not have any of these cloud features. I recognize that for most people, in most circumstances, they want those features, but my ideal printer doesn't have it. I want one USB port, and I want it user serviceable. So in the event I do stupidly break it, it is just a 6-inch extension on the inside, and I just remove the extension, I put a new one in, and life is good.
Yeah, that's actually recommended by the USB design body. Is any USB port that is user accessible should be on a header for replacement, because they know they get damaged.
Yeah, and I'm for user. I want user serviceability. That's not. Is that even in it? In my list?
Yeah.
If it's not, it should be user repairability, right? To like, look, okay. If your printer can last 5,000 hours and it's under $1,000, then I'm willing to accept some level of less than perfect user serviceability. Otherwise, I want Prusa level user serviceability. Sorry, that's what I want.
I mean, This industry is quite a weird one because if you go to any CNC industry, all use a serviceable. Like, even though they are big, expensive machines, a CNC is designed to last 30 years, 40 years even. Especially the older ones that are literally 80 years old and they're still working. It's because they're designed as tools.
Yeah, remember,
And tools
Bridgeport
need
don't
maintenance
snitch,
and all of that. Yeah.
right? I want machines that
and
don't
it's
snitch.
the same with it's just the mindset of this industry's weird in this. We're a manufacturing industry, but we're kind of not. We're more of a hobby industry, and now it's kind of this weird. Are we white appliance for the home industry? Where in reality, we should still be thinking about CNCs.
Yeah.
30 years down the line, machine's been discontinued. Doesn't bloody matter because it's a pen plotter. Pen plotters are serviceable, and for some reason, we're making it obfuscated to be able to service the most basic things. Whereas you go on any CNC machine and it's like, oh, this is a metal bracket. I'm like, cool, doesn't matter. It's serviceable. You can machine another metal bracket. It's not designed in a way that destroys the machine doing it. And we're in this kind of weird. Well, think of any of the injection molded brackets on the bamboo clones. You have to destroy the bracket to remove it. You can't do that in other industries. You have to replace parts. Hell, even the car industry, every part is user serviceable. Badly, but you can take out part, put another part in.
These newer cars don't have that. They don't.
But some of it's also safety. Like when you're doing integrated crash bar with the battery pack in the middle and all that, I can understand that. But even then, like, you can drop a battery pack out of a car. Look, like Rich Rebuilds just does that all the time, and they're on unrepairable machines. And he's like, "Nah, fam, unrepairable just means it's hard."
Yeah. I mean, hilariously, VAT Engineering, Herco VM1 was and still is a great CNC user, serviceable, built 10 years old. I have a buddy with a Herco VMX64 from the early 90s. That is a 64-inch X-axis mill. The mill came on a low boy. It was so big. And had to be moved with a Sikorsky Sky Crane. Because they couldn't get a crane big enough onto his property because the ground was not stable enough for a crane that size. He had to lift it with a helicopter off of the truck to put it into his shop. So he knew this ahead of time. So he built the walls, put the machine in, then put the roof over it the same day.
That's insane. Actually insane.
Yeah. Yeah, old school CNC. And I remember going with him when he bought that machine. It was left overnight so he could look at it, and it was not left level. It was a couple of degrees out of level. The table slid from one side of the machine to the other overnight because it was so smooth. It was 30 plus years old. The damn thing had ways that were perfect. They were perfect, but it uses a CRT screen. Right? So it still uses the glass CRT screens.
To be fair, that is a vibe, and I love it.
Yeah.
I wish there was more CRTs. It's what is it? The VFM working. Screens? Like what were the
VFD?
The wire VFD, like the wire based 8-segment display screens before
Nixies?
No, just after Nixies.
Oh, VFD. Vacuum.
Yeah.
Vacuum displays. VFDs.
Yeah, because they're lovely, just like slightly blue-white glow.
Yeah, that's a VFD. That's a standard VFD.
Oh, I love VFDs.
Right?
I wish there was more VFDs.
No, VFD variable frequency drive. What?
I'm Googling it.
Yeah, verify. It might be VFD still. VFD's variable frequency
screen.
Drive. Yeah, it vacuum fluorescent display. I think it is VFD. Yeah. Vacuum fluorescent display. I think it is still VFD. Yeah.
It is VFD. VFD.
Vacuum fluorescent display and variable frequency.
Yeah.
Same thing. VFDs for both.
I just love it. There's such a...
Yeah.
Some technology has a feel to it. Like a feel of craftsmanship or care or just like art.
That's why
baked
I like Nixie.
Into the design.
Why I will always like Nixie tubes. Always will like Nixie tubes. So my next thing on the list was ability to feed filament from front and or side. So, and I want the front side, not the back side. So again, like the bamboo, it feeds from the back side. But a lot of people figured out you can Y off that tube. So there's printable Y connectors. So you can have your AMS still connected and then feed something through a dry box. And that's what most of us do. I love that. That is awesome.
Love it. I mean, what's the one thing you always see at print farms? Reels on the front of the machines. Like, literally just hanging there. Right there
behind me. Reels hanging on the front of machines. Because
you don't want to reach it in a machine,
no.
Or at worst, from most of the Chinese machines, the back of a machine. Stop putting them on the back of a machine. Side I can live with.
At least like the Cheaties, they use Bowden connectors as their input. So you just plug a piece of Bowden tube into it and run a reverse Bowden. And okay, fine. But how much harder would it be for you to do that? And put it on the front? How much harder?
Not that hard.
How much harder?
Not that hard.
Because I don't think it's that much harder. And it makes the user experience that much better. Right? Again,
it opens up, like, you can use a dry box if it doesn't have like a heater. It opens up, oh, I have this very speciality for, like, we've done it before. We had this exceedingly brittle, like, really, but you looked at it wrong and it would break, like brass filled composite, and it would literally just like to dust, and we couldn't leave it in the machine normally, because literally just it going through a straight PTFE tube with a gentle curve. And just for reference, for everyone knowing, do not bend a PTFE tube more than 90 millimeters radius, because that is the minimum of most filaments. If you do more than that, there's a chance it will break, especially on PLA. That's old. 90 millimeter, just random number. But yeah, like, even that, like, 200 millimeter radius would break the filament. We had to give a straight direct down from above, remove the PTFE tube entirely, and just have it so it was less than a 5-degree angle from when it hit the print head. It opened up options for that if you allow different ways to put your filament. Like, don't just have it going to the back. Give it an option. Just make it a Y splitter, the back and the side, or the back and the bottom, or the top. Like, it doesn't need to be special. Just give the option, because you don't know where it's going to go. So I like it. I like Y splitters. I think it's neat.
Yeah, and I guess the thing with 3D printing the Ys is if you don't make them out of resin, you need to run carbon fiber through them a little bit to clean them up. My Y splitter has gotten much easier over the past couple of weeks as we've been running lots of glass fiber and carbon fiber through our X1 carbon. And it's been okay. I did need to end up replacing the extruder wheels. I thought they were hardened from the factory, but they're not hard enough. So I ended up putting in the extra Gucci ones from Big Tree Tech that are like titanium nitride coated, that uses a metal extruder wheel, so it's all fancy and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is Gucci as hell. And it was like $2 more than using the OEM. I said, all right, I'll do the upgrade for $2 more. Screw it.
Actually, that's something I want in a printer. Big feed gears on the extruder.
Yeah, give me a good gear reduction. Planetary is fine, but I want to make sure that the stepper motor itself has extra to go. So, and this kind of brings in, like, I want good third-party support. And so I wish more manufacturers would do what Apple does, where Apple has their own kind of okay cases, but they just rely on the third parties to make the cases for them. Like, why try to make this stuff when you could just partner with a Big Tree Tech or Fadis or whomever to make all of that for you so that you get a better product at the end of the day? And yeah, you make less profit, but you also take no risk. You license it, right? You license your hot end design to another manufacturer, and that ensures long-term support for it. Because, like, as companies change, they often drop support for their older stuff. Bamboo's going to be dropping support for the X1 Carbon in 2027.
Hell, I can still get brand new manufactured iPhone 5 cases.
Yep.
I don't know anyone who still has an iPhone 5. They're not even supported, I don't think, anymore.
No.
And like we still get the stuff. So like there is a benefit of doing that level of rely on your third party, make it part of your core, not business plan, but like business mindset behind the scenes, and you do get long-term support. So yeah, I'd be up for it. I think more people should be considering it. And it also means the experts get to stay the experts. Like they get to keep their knowledge where it matters instead of spreading it thin where it doesn't matter.
Oh God. I gotta go kill that Prusa print. It is warping heavily. Be right back.
Oh no.
You know, let's talk about the ecosystems for a bit. Well, it only has 11 minutes left, so what the hell, I'll leave it.
Oh, let it finish. What's the worst that can happen?
Yep, I'm just gonna let it finish. 11 minutes, it can finish. But that means I have to tell that person that they can't come out for another couple hours. Oops. I'll message them when we're done streaming. But
you'll be fine.
Yeah, what do you feel about ecosystems? Do you want so we've seen with closed source that's come like more dedicated ecosystems. So how do you feel about that?
Okay. I'm mixed because it depends on what you mean by ecosystems. If you mean ecosystems as a unified system of this, then I'm okay with that. I think there should be nice, well-designed ecosystems. What I don't agree with is every other company reinventing an ecosystem just to make it unique to them, so you have to buy their thing. There's a reason we chose from the start to use standardized volcano nozzles.
Cheap,
we could have chosen any
easy.
length. Like, nozzles are cheap to make. Like, really cheap to make. And I should say, for anyone who doesn't know, we designed the hot ends for Construct 1 before CHT came out. We made all these decisions before then. And if we chose custom, we would have to ask Bondtech to make custom CHT nozzles. That would have been an awful decision if we did that. And we didn't. So we got the benefit of using a unified ecosystem of Volcano. So the Volcano ecosystem we could leverage, and anyone else can as well. But we could have chosen anything. We could have made our own ecosystem, our own nozzle stand. 30 mil was what we were aiming for, not 25 mil, which is the Volcano. And we made that decision in the end. So I am a fan of ecosystems, but only when they're accessible to multiple parties. Not, oh, you have to buy our nozzle because it's our ecosystem. We would have made so much money if we only sold our own nozzles. Yeah. The amount of Bondtech nozzles that I don't even sell from our company. We just send them to Bondtech's website because we know Bondtech earns slightly more money selling it to them instead of via a reseller. Like, and I should say, selling nozzles is not profitable to us. Like, we sell machines. Nozzles are a spare. We don't care what the money is on them. We should in the future, but not now. And that's the point, is it's just a nightmare. Like, ecosystem good, single company bad. That's my mindset.
I agree. Ecosystem is good. It's and this is where, like, for me, the Cheaty Plus 4. It is the machine that I will always come back to about this. If Cheaty would release a nozzle that is metal but is titanium, right? Give me a titanium heat break. I would buy a $20 nozzle. I'd buy a $25 nozzle. I'd buy it.
Like, imagine
but
right
they're
now
not going
that
to.
Prusa's Nextruder nozzle system, the entire thing was just not open source, but an open ecosystem that you could integrate to any machine. We would have seen so many more machines with that style of nozzle, and it would all been supported, and that would have been a great experience. But companies don't do that. They want to lock it down to, you buy our thing with our nozzle for our ecosystem because ecosystem is good for investors and it looks good on paper. And
like, I guess I don't ultimately mind a walled garden as long as it's done right. And again, credit where it's due, Bamboo has really handled the walled garden system about as well as I think companies could. Right? And this brings me to...
I don't even think it's walled garden anymore. Because, like, think of how many Bamboo Lab clone hot ends which are interchangeable with Bamboo Lab machines.
Okay. But it is still a walled garden. You can't just put a V6 nozzle on it.
You can't put a V6 nozzle on a
Someone has
volcano
come through with
ecosystem.
hedge trimmers and trimmed the hedges pretty low. You can just step over it, but the garden still has a wall. Right?
I don't know how to call it a wall, because like,
okay, well then
you
are
can't
the
just put a
Fadis
V6 nozzle? That's like not universal, and universal is not an ecosystem.
Okay, so is the Fadis silicon carbide nozzles the breaking of the walled garden of the Nextruder?
Yeah.
Is the Nextruder adapter to allow V6 nozzles the breaking of the Nextruder ecosystem?
Yeah, I give you that. Yeah.
Matt Weber said chain link fence garden. I almost want to put China link fence because that'd be much funnier because it's what it is. Yeah, I'm not a fan of walled gardens. I've made this very clear that I really don't think walled gardens are often done well by companies. However, I do think Bamboo did it right. I think they did it right, and they could go after these third-party companies. They're choosing not to because they know it's within their best interest not to. Because they'll make more money selling filament than they will selling $20 hot ends, right?
I also think there's a bit of a difference,
but like,
where Bamboo Lab made a nozzle design for them. They didn't really care about the ecosystem mindset. They just went,
that's true.
We're going to do our thing no matter what. And they've done it with the A series. They've done it with the P and the X series.
Dude,
like, they've got
the A series and the
designs.
H series hot end nozzles are amazing. Now, I'm pissed with the H series because they made high flow and they deliberately went around Bondtech's patent, or Bondtech's licensing of 3D Solex's patent, and did it without just licensing it. They could have licensed it. They chose not to. They chose to be dicks about it. And I don't like that. So I want to be clear about that. But the single clip holding the entire hot, amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So I think from Bamboo Lab perspective, they made an ecosystem.
Yes.
But they didn't do like what Elegoo or Quiddy have done, where they've just cloned and slightly changed an already existing ecosystem. Like, they could have just remade Nextruder nozzles that they've obviously cloned, like that length and style of nozzle geometry. Like, they could have just copied it, but they didn't. They changed it. And I don't like that bit where it's an ecosystem just for corporate greed of you have to buy from us, instead of, in reality, they're all the same. Like, they're all like 1 mil different. It was like the V6 versus Creality's V8 was, Creality just wanted an ecosystem that was slightly different to V6. And that was it. And there was no benefit there, because what eventually happened was nobody protected anything, and you got clones of everything. But they didn't have to change it. There was no benefit to changing it.
They did it so you would buy parts from them rather than buying from somebody else. And like, literally, Cheaty's own decisions to make their walled garden a problem have pushed me to say, all right, I'll go to a walled garden that isn't a problem. I'll go to the Bamboo walled garden because there is such a broad support for third-party equipment on it. Then like, that makes the most sense for me as a business owner. That makes the most sense. Right? So, and like, I want an enclosed printer. I want a heated chamber. I am accepting of a machine that has the ability and is wired for a heated chamber, but you have to buy it as an add-on. I am wholeheartedly accepting of this. I just got in and I bought it. So I'm not going to mention the company. I bought in a heater for my Bamboo. I'm going to try to add a chamber heater to the Bamboo. I think I can do it. It's going to involve drilling a hole in the side of the printer, but whatever. It's an old enough printer.
We do that already.
Yeah, I don't care. And I have fire-rated caulk made just for this.
Oh.
Now, I use it on... we're going to go with safes to hold things, so that the safe still remains fire-rated when I drilled a hole in it to put power inside of the safe. But yeah, I have the right materials to do it. If I can do that, now I'm looking at like the Centauri Carbon, right? As a viable machine for my business if I can put a heater in it.
I do think, especially with the more generalized use of other materials other than PLA, having, I wouldn't even say a heater, just the ability to maintain heat in a chamber
Yeah.
is now a mandatory must.
Like,
a heater would be nice. In reality, the bed is still a heater. But at least if the machine is designed in a way to trap the air like the Core 1 does for general temperature control,
with
that
the Core
is
1,
the minimum.
The problem with the Core 1 is that it's not insulated. So my ambient, like when my
I do think was a bit of an oversight. Just a little bit.
It's a bummer. It really is, and I want to insulate my Core 1.
How hard would it have been to add like 4 mil of neoprene foam on every surface?
I want to insulate my Core 1, but it will be way easier to get rid of the side panel that's just a bump out and add this heater in and not worry about it and let the stupid thing radiate heat into my office. I don't give a damn. And then I'm legitimately looking at Core 1s as an expansion for my business, and a lot of them. Like, I'm looking to add 7 to 10 chamber heater printers right now. And like, you know, I'm looking at like the Construct 2, the system from Luke's lab. They're good machines, but they're expensive to a point where I can't get 7 or 10 of them. I can get 1, which is fine. 1 or 2 is fine. But I need cheaper machines. Because for right now, I need to prove that this market is a long-term viability for us. And to do that, I have to have enclosures and heated chambers, because the ambient air temperature in my office is enough. So like my Bamboo under proper heating will get into the mid 50s. When my aircon turns on, it drops to the low 50s or high 40s. Ooh, because that's just
enough to make visible quality differences.
Exactly. And when you're printing, I'm printing very big parts, they warp. And warping is a huge problem for us because it makes the part not sellable anymore.
Hell, do you remember back at Smurf where you looked at the prototype for Construct 2? The chamber was off. We were printing PLA, and I'm not sure if the camera picked it up, but there was visible like shrinkage lines at multiple points up that looked like Z banding to anyone who saw it.
No, it
and
was
I
the
had to
aircon.
tell people it wasn't even the aircon. Somebody opened the door for half a second. Just be like, and you saw for like 3-4 mil, the part shrunk and then it grew again. And it's literally just
and like
5 to 8 degree temperature difference was enough to do that.
I'm not even printing ASA polycarbonate nylon with this particular like area that we're going down for the business. I just need consistent temperatures. That's all. That's all I need are consistent temperatures. And I don't care if it's 45C, 50C, 60C, 65C. I don't care. I need consistent temperatures that will counteract the aircon or ambient air temperatures in my garage. Right? I need machines that combat that. And, you know, the Gregory Pfeiffer Devoid Colossus is saying the Airy 1 400 would be a perfect for a chamber heater. I don't need a machine that big. A machine that big is actually detrimental. I'm looking at like Q1 Pro or, you know, +4 size machines. I'm not looking for machines that big. I don't need them. These parts all are designed to fit on 256 build plates. Like, that's what I need. And I think that a machine at this size, like my ideal printer, should be a 256 plate or larger. If it is a 256 plate, it better just use Bamboo plates. So I can just buy one of the ubiquitous Bamboo clone plates off the market. Again, the heated chamber is nice. We need a well-designed, all-metal, easy-to-service hot end, 300+ degrees Celsius, preferably with a thermocouple. I don't mind a thermistor, but thermocouple to get to 350 or 400C is nice. It's more of a want than a need. And again,
so here's an interesting thing about thermistors versus thermocouples. Thermistors are quite surprisingly good above 300C. Like, I wouldn't go past 350.
They lose their accuracy.
They lose a bit of accuracy, and most of it's related to the cable quality instead of the actual thermistor cartridge, where that's where the deviation starts to happen. So again, I'd agree with you. I'd rather have a thermocouple any day of the week. Thermocouple, because they're not much different in price. They're more reliable. They're easier to replace. But it's not close enough where I'm like, I'd rather have. If the printer had this and it's saying a temperature of this,
Right.
I wouldn't quibble it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that's an area that I would care about that much. It's just like, oh, neat, it has this. Like, I wouldn't base any purchasing decision on either.
Also, I missed $10 from Bearded Printer. Totally sorry about that. Thank you, sir, for contributing to the ad-free streams. Hey, guys, like the stream, too. 145 viewers, 73 likes. Help us out if you don't mind.
Come on, do it. I'm really tired today, guys. Come on, like the video. Every like gives me one extra neuron fire, keeping me awake.
Alex wants to know where the Discord link is that is available at the $10 tier and higher. We do paygate our Discord. This was a decision that we made early on, but we are heavily active in that Discord. We are always working with people. We're hanging out all the time. I try to hang out at least 3 days a week for multiple hours at a time with everybody. You know, and that does mean we have a smaller Discord, but I think we have a phenomenal community who, for the most part, is generally, well, for the most part, they're generally really quite nice, but they're also not afraid to tell you how it is.
Yep.
Which
and you get me sharing things that I shouldn't be about standard business practices that most people don't realize are a thing. It's fun.
Fair. The other thing with these machines, I want a thick heat bed. That's what the Plus 4 actually does.
Oh,
the Plus 4's heat bed is pretty good. Pretty good.
So I'm mixed when it comes to thick heat bed, because I find thick heat bed is a band-aid to a solution that is only existing because companies haven't done enough research yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In theory, an aluminium heat bed is the worst material we could use for a bed. It's got one of the highest level. I can't remember which. Well, okay, I'm not saying that material. I'm not allowed to say that material. There is one, if that is out there, that is a not aluminium based bed that is perfect. Can't say it though. But a steel bed has many benefits, like really many benefits. So I did a load of research of aluminium versus steel. One of the issues with steel is cost and weight, whereas aluminium, it's much lighter. It's easier to machine. Now, that's a big thing. It's easier to machine, so you can make it in any size, and that's probably why it was defaulted to this industry, is you can get tool plate aluminium quite cheaply in whatever you need. Steel, getting it flat is a challenge, but it has one of the best benefits you can possibly imagine for heat beds. It reflects any magnetic field upwards. So you put a magnetic sticker down, your bed sticks 3 times heavier than an aluminium one. So that warping you've just had with your build plate behind you is the bed warping as it's pulled up from the PETG. Or is it the part?
No, that's PLA. The PLA just warped up because aircon.
But
it's fine.
You must have had like PETG parts that have bananaed the bed.
Oh yeah.
Like any I
mean, literally, Chris
Catlin, you have a steel bed.
Chris Catlin was in our Discord dealing with nylon, pulling up his steel sheet from his bamboo. So what did he do? He printed clips to hold the bed down.
Don't need to do that with a steel bed. It legitimately doubles the force of a magnetic sheet.
But what about the thermal expansion issue of steel? It's going to bow or it's going to taco, isn't it?
It's exactly the same as aluminium. They're the same materials in terms of internal stress. So other than aluminium expands more, if you got tool steel and tool aluminium, they'll do the same job, except steel will expand less and is heavier.
So do you think that companies have chosen aluminium because it's cheap and light over steel? Like, what if it is that much better? Why does everybody use aluminium, including like Mandala Rose Works, companies that make like effing expensive build plates.
So some of it is easy to machine. Steel is much harder to machine and keep flat, and you need to coat it. You can't just leave a raw
problem.
Oh yeah, yeah. PC Evangelist, just put it out. Rust. Like you have to paint an a steel bed. You cannot leave it raw.
I'd rather you powder coat it personally, but something that's more of a
coating. I always use powder coat.
Yeah.
Powder coat also should be done on aluminium, because on the aluminium beds, if you put a sticker of heater pad or magnetic sheet, you can't remove them once they're down. Whereas if you powder coat it, you can. It's a bit messy, but you can.
Rip the powder coating off, but yeah, you can.
Oh, you're not using a good powder coat then.
No,
any
probably
plate
not.
should be buzzed and then powder coated afterwards, so it doesn't rip. You don't need the undercoat, but you can zip it.
Look, man, some of us are doing it ourselves. Okay, all right. Future unrest, oxidative bluing like firearms. Yeah, could do that.
No. Oxidative bluing still rusts.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to exactly explain why I know this, but it's fair.
Same here.
Yeah,
I have too many experiences.
You know, I live in Florida.
I'm not turning my camera slightly that way.
I'm not turning my camera down. But yeah, what about like a titanium style where you heat it well, that's still oxidative. So here's the cool thing.
Well, no, here's the cool thing. So PC Evangelist just put Inconel. The material I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Moneybags with Inconel.
But Inconel is similar in terms of one aspect that is not important for a heat bed. Thermal conductivity. It doesn't matter. You could make your plate out of stone and it will be just as good as an aluminium bed, because you don't care about how fast the heat transfers. It just needs to be a temperature to activate the PEI surface energy change. That's all you need, is the PEI coating of the steel sheet to get to a temperature and stay there. You're not changing it, so it doesn't matter.
Now I want an Inconel heat bed just to do it, but like Inconel's used in like hypersonic missiles. There's no reason that you should have an Inconel heat bed. Inconel's a material that it gets harder the hotter it gets, and the harder you hit it. It's a really fascinating material. It's kind of kinky. You know, we don't judge. We rate. We don't judge. That is actually a rule of our Discord. We do not kink shame. That is in the Discord. But yeah, I kind of want to try steel now. Do you use steel for the construct machines?
We used to. So our first 8 prototypes used 4mm plate steel, and it was really good. The only reason we moved away from it, and this is before we had a lot of industry knowledge, was weight.
Yeah, it's heavy.
There's 2 things that you have to worry about with steel. It's very heavy, and your motors for your Z-axis need to be reinforced. So that was the big thing. Like, I didn't know the shipping prices at the time, so we ended up with aluminium for the weight aspect.
And I think that's why a lot of companies do it.
We've just gone over to high precision aluminium beds, which are machined flat to within 10 microns.
Like MIC6, like Mix 6? Or better.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I can't remember which grade it is because I didn't deal with it. It's one of the first times I've just gone to a company and gone, fix my problem. Like, just find me this. I don't have time to deal with every minutiae anymore. But we've gone with tool plate aluminium of a very high grade, like less than 10 microns over the surface. And that is great. In reality, I want to go back to steel because it doesn't matter. And it fixes big problems of big bed, warp, taco bed. Like, you don't get that.
With absolute nozzle probing, do we care so much about a taco bed?
Yes.
Why?
I care.
Why? Why should we?
If you're making 2 parts and you want to make them together and it's flat on flat, now you care a lot.
You took the one argument that I had, and I didn't think that was the one you were going to say, because that was the argument that I had prepped and ready, because it's the reason that I hate beds that are tacos, is because I often have to put parts together! Ah! Damn it, you stole it. All right, fine. Well, I think a taco can often be counteracted by just something that is so bloody thick. if it's just dummy thick, it doesn't warp as much.
Does it not? Does it not though? Let me give you a friendly poke just to get the mind open.
I know that.
Why do you think a taco happens on thin versus thick? Not that it does, but why do you think the taco happens?
Because most people use thin beds.
But why is it happening on thin beds?
I don't know. I need an
It's
adult.
because they're using hot rolled or
because they're using crappy beds. I just said that.
They're using crappy material, but it's not because it's thin. It's not. It's actually not because it's thin. It's just because they're using ass internal stress beds. Like if you take just a brick of aluminium and you just hammer it into a flat shape, it will warp 50 times more than the same thickness, but cast. And the reason cast is chosen is just because it's homogeneous for the most part.
Okay, so I want a
thin
cast
and thick
bed.
of that doesn't matter. Cast bed is good. There are a couple other like manufacturing processes. I think it's like electro blast beds are where they kind of cast it and then just like superheat it in place so it removes all internal stress. But that's really expensive, so nobody does it. And I think other materials don't necessarily have the same manufacturing process. Like I know steels taco less than aluminium of the same thickness because they're more likely to homogenize once they've had internal stress. But that's the point. Like a thick bed isn't necessarily what you want. A thick bed gives you thermal mass.
The thermal mass is nice, to be clear. I guess there are people that are having issues with tacoed +4s, but we're starting to find out that it's actually more to do with the piezo sensors that they use, and the bed itself is actually pretty decent. Skip step detection is a big one. The +4 doesn't have it. It does not have skip step detection.
It should.
If the machine... And
it's a software thing.
I'm sure it's a software thing. And so if my machine happens to skip a step, I have to unplug it.
Ooh.
Yep, and I have to rely on that it's power loss detection kicks in. And because when it does power loss, it auto homes itself. There's no way to home it otherwise.
Oh, I don't like that.
It took me like 3 hours to figure that out a few weeks back. And this was at like 2 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to get this printer back in line to save a 4-day print. It's very frustrating to say the least.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, view at your own risk with the ceramic bed. Now that is one I want to try. The issue is delicacy. So there's one that I actually want to try sooner rather than later.
I think the XL has the perfect bed.
Nah. Very complicated.
Don't care. Perfect.
Okay, let me throw you this one.
All the problems are solved. Every one of your problems are solved. And you only have to heat up one of the tiles if you have a small print.
I will throw you a question after this because I know it doesn't solve the problem. It's the one thing I saw with the really nicely... Now, anyone from Prusa that's watching this, I'm sorry for what I'm going to say. I love your beds to bits. I think your substrate... The actual bed is the best bed on the market.
The FR4?
No, like the actual like Texels style of multiple micro beds.
Yeah.
Love it. But my issue isn't that. Actually, I'm going to skip like view at your own risk question just because I really want to talk about this now. It's the PEI sheet. My biggest problem with how nicely engineered the Prusa beds are is it's not the Prusa bed that I have the problem with. It's the spring steel and the PEI coating.
What's wrong with it?
It's not that it's wrong for them. It's just the industry hasn't realized this is a thing. Now, Prusa might be different because they make their own.
Yes.
And I know the guys at Prusa are smart enough to figure it out. But I can promise you, none of the other companies have done this measurements yet. What's the thickness of your PEI on your PEI sheet?
Oh, like the actual coating thickness of PEI?
Yeah. What is the thickness?
I can go get one and measure it.
You can't. Because it's rolled. And I can tell you from the rolling process, it's whatever the machine decided as it was rolling it. So you will get on the flattest piece of spring steel, a wave. that you can measure, and it is not insurmountable. Like, it is, there is a wave to it that you will see on the bottom of your prints. On top of that, onto any company, so this is more of like the Bamboo Lab style machines and all the clones and everything that don't use magnets embedded in the bed. How well built is the magnetic sheet? How thick is that?
So here's the fun part. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, go on.
We interviewed the director of Prusa Polymers. His name is Adam.
Okay.
He's directly responsible for this stuff. So we can actually ask him these questions, Jacob.
Brilliant.
I can email him and ask him these questions.
So one of the big things I like about the Prusa beds is it's magnet embedded. Oh, I have so many questions.
I think you're going to really like his interview, but I'm so worried that interview... No, I'm worried about that interview because I know it's not going to perform well. It's a really good interview, but
don't do it for YouTube. Do it for the love of the interview.
Yeah, for the love of the interview, it's an amazing interview. And that will be a time where I will tell people, if you really enjoy this and you want to love the interview, then you need to join as a channel member or a patron or whatever, because we're going to release the whole thing that way separately, because it is a really good interview, but there's like basically no B-roll for it. It is just a talking head style interview, but it is filled with such valuable and good information. And like this man clearly not only cares about his team, but cares about the product that he's making. And yeah, I would argue that, and I could probably get him to come on the show if you wanted. He was totally cool.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, and we can also ask him how they do it. And if you have ways to make it better, then let's make it better. Now, this is the fun part. So we can go to Prusa and say, this is how you make it better. Do you guys want to do it? And if they say no, it's fine the way it is, then we do it. And we do it better.
Well, yeah.
And we sell it. And we work with probably Phil from Ember Prototypes. We, push it under that name or something like that. And that's it. We make our own damn build plates. Yeah. F them.
So one of the benefits, and this is like the great thing about the Prusa beds, is they're magnet embedded, and it fixes the big issue with the. I'm just going to constantly go back to Bamboo Lab because everyone knows what the bed of a Bamboo Lab is like nowadays. So you've got PEI sheet on the top, and underneath it you've got a magnetic sticker.
Yep.
The magnetic sticker is a rolled piece of equipment.
It's weak as shit too.
It's not durable. It's not very good. It's also whatever thickness came out of the machine, and it has roll marks in it. It's very hard to tell, and a lot of the times you can't tell. But I can promise you. So we've done this on a C1XL. We have an eddy current sensor on our prototype machine, and we have our high precision guaranteed flat, because we measured this off the metal before we added anything to it, 3 micron flatness across the entire surface. 3 micron flatness. We then gave it a powder coat, because we powder coat every single bed, even though it's aluminium, and it went to 12 microns, so the coating has a variance across it. We put the magnetic sticker on, 120 micron deviation.
That's a fair bit.
Wave patterns. It's a fair bit.
Yeah. Like if it was like,
and there's nothing,
20 or 30
to get rid of it.
If it was like 20 or 30 micron, I'm not going to care. Huh. Yes, but see, the problem with the Prusa beds, and we saw this on the upgrade, was that my 3.5? I think it was a 3.5. Or was it a 3.9? One of my Prusa upgrades, half of the magnets came unstuck. I had to JB weld them back in.
The only downside of magnet embedding is you're embedding something and it has to stay there. And glues don't like thermal cycling. Magnets don't like thermal cycling. How the fuck do they work? But there we go. Like, but no, like, even like the rat rig behind me, it's got a really nicely machined bed. It's gorgeous. And then you do the bed level on it, and you see this wave pattern in it. You go, all that money gets spent on a really nice, thick, like Mike 6 aluminium bed, machined and flat, and then you put a sticker on it, and it's from whoever made it, and you hope it's flat, and that's it.
It's funny.
Like literally in the manual for the rat rig, they tell you put Captain tape in low spots because then it's roughly the right thickness. So when you put your bed on,
that's a bad
like,
solution. Sure, that's such a bad solution.
Like you can't see it behind me right now, but literally on the edges, there's 2 strips of Captain tape because it forces the edges up for where the sheet was lower, so it flattens it. It's literally shimming the magnetic sheet with Captain tape. And
that's
as
stupid.
for anyone that's doing the textured side of a PEI sheet,
just straight
how
stupid.
thick is the texture of a PEI sheet?
Varies.
Like the textured side is a powder coat. It's however much powder was on the coat. So it's these things are like the final hurdles for uniformity in my eyes, more so than the bed. Like the bed probe does a heavy job at fixing it, but for me, it's not the bed, it's the sheet. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I
bet you didn't think of that. Oh, and going back to view at your own risk question with ceramic, I really want to try a glass bed. Not glass like plonked on the top. I mean glass in the middle. Put the heater on the glass. Put the PEI magnetic shitter sticker on the glass. Like put glass instead of aluminium.
But glass has the same problem. Glass is amorphous. It's a liquid. Glass is a liquid.
Yep.
If you don't fully support the glass, it's going to have a problem. And it's also an insulator, so it's not going to do a very good job of transferring the heat.
It doesn't need to transfer the heat. Once it's hot, it stays hot. Think of glass cookware. Cooks completely fine in glass cookware.
Okay, so this is funny because I just took this printer outside because I needed it out of my damn shop. Yeah, I was going to talk about the positron too because that uses an ITO coated bed, and the glass bed is the heater, which is super cool. Nice. But I've got a D-Bot, old school, right? 400 by 400 by 800, big boy. It's been in my shop. We built it like 8 years ago. We used it for 2 years, and then it sat and collected dust. Well, I finally said enough is enough. It is now out in the garage on the set. Well, it's next to the set. And I now have a new work table in here where I can do more projects on and do larger builds. That machine uses a Mix 6 bed, silicone heater pad underneath it. That's like
good. I'm liking
500 watts that we built.
Yeah.
I'm holding it at the 4 corners with M3.
Wait, sorry, how big is the bed again? How big is the bed?
It's 16 inches. So that's
with a 500 watt heater.
Hold on, let me get the actual, because I had to get it in US size, so it's 406.4 square. Okay. But its printable area is 400 square.
Okay.
Yeah, the heater's not great. It takes a while.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, you want roughly
it takes a while.
Was it like 80 watts per 100 millimeter cube?
Again,
100 millimeter squared.
This was an internal custom build. It is an AC coupled bed, which is nice. So it is a little bit better. But we deliberately went with a lower power bed because we didn't want to overdraw circuits. So we did that way. But this was before spring steel and magnets were really that popular. So it's just a piece of borosilicate glass. It's borosilicate. Alex says stop talking Imperial. I understand that, but when I buy stuff here in the States, I have to use Imperial or they don't make it. So I had to buy a 16-inch piece of glass for a 400 millimeter build plate. But this worked out because I have the 4 corners. I use an M3 screw for a standoff. Also, SG101, welcome to the Discord. Thank you for your support. Discord membership is available at the $10 tier and higher. We've been through the fact that it's pay gated. It's worth it. SG101, send me an email, youtube@3dmusketeers.com. As soon as the stream is over, we'll get you in the Discord. You can come hang out with us when we're done.
It's okay, Alex. I feel your pain. I have to constantly
Yeah,
translate imperial to
look,
metric.
I don't like it.
That
I
country's
literally just
backwards.
had
It's
to
fine.
Google how many millimeters were in 16 inches, okay? So we did that, and then we put glass on it. I have regular plate glass, and I have borosilicate, and for both of those, I have applied a PEI sticker. The plate glass, and it uses a BL Touch, and an E3D Titan Arrow. Again, dating this
I
printer.
love the Titan Arrow. That was my personal favorite hot end for the longest period of time.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah, and then I had the bearing problem, so I'm running Igus bushings
and I had
in
so
mine.
many with the bearing problem.
Yep. Scream like
I'm
a
pretty sure I bought the
banshee.
entire batch back when the bearing problem came out, and I'm like, yeah, this is fine.
I think
It was
E3
not
handled that
fine.
well, but
Oh no, they handled it great. I just got unlucky that I was like, I'm gonna go into the Titan Aero line at the exact wrong time.
I think we broke 3 of the plate glass beds before I gave up on that machine. Because when you're printing parts that big on glass, it's damn near impossible to get them to separate. Right? We learned so many things that we were doing wrong back then. This is back when you used to oil hot ends, right? This machine originally did not have a Titan Arrow. It had a V5 or V4 from E3D with a over 1 meter Bowden setup. Okay. Like it was jank as hell. We broke so many beds. And so like I love magnetic steel sheets, but I prefer the mandala rose work where they're drilling in and inserting magnets. So yeah. That I understand though, but like an ideal printer for me would have all of those things done right, but a realistic printer doesn't. Because it is what it is. Right?
Yeah.
Is it perfect?
Would you have
No, but it's fine.
textured and smooth on your PEI at the same time, or 2 sheets of 2 different?
2 sheets.
2 sheets.
I mean, if I was into texture and smooth, it would be 1 on each side.
Yeah.
But I would just do 2 sheets. I don't care. If you keep your PEI sheets relatively affordable, which for an ideal printer they would be, and there's a strong aftermarket, like give me a Ember Prototypes plate or a Honey Badger plate from Fabrico any day of the week. I love those plates. They stick like a hot damn. They don't complain. That kind of stuff is much my preference over, a lot of the stock plates. Although I will say the Cheaty stock plate is fine. It's fine. Yeah, I've got a Honey Badger plate that's double-sided, but I probably won't use, well, one side smooth, one side textured. Yep. I prefer the textured side. I use the textured way more, and the industry is moving toward textured as the main. I do
worry that's smooth. A bit of a misstep.
It is.
Like the amount of times where I'm like, I need a smooth sheet
but textured,
for this material.
See, textured hides a lot of the problems in the beds.
We don't have that issue if it's a good bed with a good probe.
Right, but so this is, it's like this long con of we're going to make it work the way that we need so that we can do things cheaper. And the textured PEI bed is one of those things. Textured PEI, this is my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, only exist because machines have gotten cheaper. And to combat the fact that their beds are not flat, they're using textured PEI, which is way more forgiving on first layers. You can dig into them quite a bit more than a smooth sheet before you actually damage them. And
it's not even that. I just told my dad the other day that so one of the probes in one of the printers was low by 0.2 of a millimeter.
Texture doesn't care.
Awful, like first layer, like literally bobbling around the edges. And I literally just turned to my dad. End of the day, I've just come home from work and I'm just absolutely tired. And I shit you not, I was just like, just flip it over, go textured. Don't even bother resetting the probe, just go textured. He printed it and it was like, looks fine.
Textured solves a lot of those problems, and maybe that's the conspiracy theory that we need in this industry. But you know what? In certain cases, I do prefer textured. There are, like you, I agree, there are times and places where I need that smooth plate, but the vast majority of the time I don't. Vast majority of the time I don't.
Hell, I even find textured means users can do less cleaning.
Yeah.
Because they're more likely to only oil the peaks. I know, that's the thing. My tinfoil hat is I think they went textured just because it's cleaning. Not even the material. I think it's
wipe it
cleaning.
With Windex and a paper towel and you're done. That's it.
I finally started using Windex. I kind of really like it. I really like it. It's easy. Dare I say it? It's easy and it works and it kind of smells nice. My beds are now minty fresh. It's got like a little lemony zest to it.
Get the unscented Windex that's just got ammonia in it.
Yeah, but
the blue stuff. The blue stuff, man.
Oh, I was getting the pink
MLV
stuff.
says we don't have Windex in Slovakia. Any ammonia-based glass cleaner. That's what you need. You need ammonia-based glass cleaner because ammonia cuts through grease. How many squirts? It depends on the size of the bed. I don't know.
As many as you want.
Honestly, you should take
Windex goes a far way. Like, I find one does way more than I ever need. But just...
And, like, honestly, you're supposed to take the build plate out and then spray it. None of us ever do. None of us ever do. Oh, Mitch 3D with the Fabuloso. Let's go. Oh, I always have Fabuloso. Wait, can I can I use Fabuloso to clean build plates? I've never tried that.
I've never tried it.
I love Fabuloso. It smells so good. It smells so good.
I also want to just back you up on the don't take your build plate out when you clean type thing. If you spray Windex, which is supposed to remove grease and all of this,
I don't care.
What happens if you just leave the Windex on the surface with the grease? It's not going to remove the grease. It's just going to let the grease resettle. So why bother taking the bed out where you're like, oh, I'm going to get Windex on my rods or anything? Well, it doesn't matter. You're not removing it. It's still there.
So the concern is actually about the electronics. But if you have exposed electronics near your heat bed...
if your electronics are so worried about getting any moisture near them...
Spray the paper towel and then wipe it. Like, I don't care. And yes, I reuse the same paper towel for months. My paper towel that I use to clean the build plates is blue because I've used it so many times. And yes, I know...
I want to know what paper towel you're using because every time I use paper towel, the textured side of PI tears it up too much.
Yeah, you have to be careful on the texture because, it tears it up. Actually, I end up tossing them more because I'll end up hitting, like, the lead screws on the bamboo that are just black.
Oh,
with the grease
coated and everything.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right.
Why do they become so black? I thought Bamboo Lab used like polymer, like Z nuts.
I don't know. They're the only printer. Like, they started this trend of needing to lubricate your Z lead screws, and you shouldn't have to, at all.
We lubricate our Z lead screws, but that's just to stop a very annoying micro vibration where the bed moves very quickly.
Well, okay, but then use a light machine oil, not like a lithium grease, right?
Oh, no, we're using just silicone grease because it sticks to it really nicely. So it makes sure it stays coated for long periods of time. It makes it sound amazing.
Russell Milner asks about the non-ammonia-based car glass cleaner. I don't know. It's normally more expensive, so I haven't tried it. Like the... It's a black bottle. Why the hell do I not know what it's called? I have some. Invisible glass. There it is. It neurons are slow today. That's why we need more donations or something. I don't know. Yeah, invisible glass. I don't know if it works. I can tell you it's too expensive for me to care because Windex works great. The generic Windex works great. I literally go and buy a gallon refill of the generic Windex, pour it into a spray bottle, and I've set the spray pattern so it sprays how I want. With a paper. Knock things off my shelf with my hand. And I just wipe it down with a paper towel, and we're done. That's it. Doesn't need to be all this extra BS. It's simple, easy, effective, cheap.
Mitch, as much as I love you, please don't tell people to mix ammonia and bleach together on the internet. Somebody might actually believe
I'm
you.
removing it. Yep, I'm just straight removing it.
For anyone wondering, do not mix. This isn't a joke.
Don't
this
mix
isn't a
chemicals. Hard stop.
Bit.
Unless you know what you're
chemical
doing.
A and chemical B will kill you in not the nice way. Just saying. You will get the World War One experience. Not fun.
Don't mix chemicals unless you know what you're doing. Simple as that. Moving on. I'm gonna try Fabuloso now because I want to know. Because of my entire print office. Oh, Fabuloso smells so good. What?
I've used
Oh, I'm starting to drop packets. That's fun. We're fine.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Please don't say that. Oh god, I've forgotten the word of the thing. The cubicle where water shower. How did I forget the word shower? The cubicle where water.
The cubicle where water falls. Jacob.
Shower glass
you
cleaner.
Can't stop me.
Oh no, don't do it. I'm supposed to be a professional.
No. Yeah, it's normally ammonia glass cleaner.
There's no ammonia in this one.
Is it vinegar?
It's anti-lime scale.
Vinegar.
So I'm not sure what's in it.
Vinegar.
But it works great.
Vinegar, because
it smells like lemons again.
It's a very, very low grade acid. Vinegar is, and so it gets rid of hard water buildup. It's vinegar. It's almost always vinegar. And that's what non-ammonia based glass cleaner uses. It's vinegar.
Fair enough. Yeah, that works great. Though it does leave like a residue behind, which I'm not sure makes it stick better or worse.
And that's actually why I like ammonia. I find that the ammonia that gets left behind creates a very thin like micro layer, and I can comfortably print PETG on smooth plates on my Prussias.
Neat.
It's one of those cases, but you know, at the end of the day, an ideal printer for us, it's got a lot of the features that we see out there already, but we see them from multiple brands. So we just want to take like what multiple brands do and stick them together. I want to know from you all, if you're still watching this, if you're still listening, whatever, put in the comments, in the chat, wherever, what do you want to see in an ideal printer other than a Bondtech Index? I think we all just kind of uniquely agree that that's a cool thing. It is inductive. But like, what else? Has the hotkey ready. What else do you guys, what else, like, what have we missed? Spaghetti, you have spaghetti detection. Oh, replaceable parts. Oh my gosh, yes. Well, we talked about user serviceability.
Yeah.
What have we
missed?
I want bearings. I don't want bushings. I think this whole push into these graphite bushings, stupid.
They don't do anything different. I'm sorry. They're just cheap. That's the whole point, is there's no moving parts, so they don't need maintenance and all that, but they're disposable. They break over time. It's because it's a copper tube. Not even pronounced tube. No, tube. Because it's lazy. And I don't like it. The moment something goes wrong or it gets a bit of dirt on the inside of the bushing, it's permanently damaged. Stop using bushings. Dougal saying ball screws. I'm going to counter with no.
And
ball screws are very difficult to do right.
They're also heavy.
The only people I trust to do ball screws right are Pantheon Design, because they know exactly what they're doing with that. We have ball screws. Our first 5 prototypes, all ball screws. We went away from ball screws because users don't know what they're doing. They will not maintain a ball screw. They will damage them over time. Ball screws are harder than the entire machine put together. They are much more expensive. They're heavy. They've got high moving mass. They look really pretty. And that's mostly it. Is for what we use in 3D printers,
they're not necessarily
really pretty.
Yeah, they're just
at the end of the day, you get the same accuracy out of a lead screw as you do out of a ball screw, because gravity gets rid of any slop in either of them. So why use a ball screw?
Duff wants
to know... you end up with more problems because it's harder, and harder means it doesn't flex, meaning it's more likely to damage other things than itself. So
Duff wants to know about toolhead boards. I'm no to toolhead boards. I say run USB-C cables, but just use them for other things. Run it back to the back of the machine. You can run power through USB cables. You can run all your data lines through it. And USB-C cables, I think, have enough that you probably don't need much else for it. I do believe that would be ideal in most cases. But yeah, he said because of high chamber temps, toolhead boards are a problem. And yeah, they can be. What are your thoughts on that, Jacob?
So there's two types of toolhead boards in my eyes. One is tool breakout boards. So they're not smart. They are literally just connectors onto a bus bar going to a header.
I want those. I'm fine with those.
I wish more printers had dumb toolboards. Like, you don't need your accelerometer. Actually, to be fair, that's the only main thing that I like for toolboards is there's an accelerometer on them sometimes. But other than the accelerometer,
unplug it when you're done. Move on.
Yeah, like other than the accelerometer, what are you getting out of a toolboard that you aren't getting out of a toolboard that's dumb? Like, you're getting a quick connector. Cool. I could take that quick connector to a bloody VGA cable. And that VGA can do all my stuff.
God, you could use a VGA. Parallel, baby. We're going back to parallel.
Well, one of the benefits of a VGA cable,
it's locks.
You can lock it.
You can lock it. You can get locking USB-C. Those exist.
Yeah, I know, but honestly, you look sad using it.
But you shouldn't have to modify it very often, so I think it's fine.
Yeah.
MLV says, I want auto ejection. View at your own risk says 100% open. Gilbert Nar said one made near Tampa, Florida. Don't look at me for that. Lucas said, I want long as 1 m by 0.3 size bed. Oh, okay. So you want a 1 meter by
1 meter cubed. Was that 1 meter cubed, or where is that? How far up?
Right below Duff asking about toolhead boards. I want long as 1 m x 0.3 m size bed. So I think it's 1 meter by 300 millimeter. There's not many people that do that. PC Evangelist said, Index looks great, but I would hate to lose the ability to try other toolheads. Index does kind of lock you in a couple of ways. Totally fair. Don't use it. You know, have two machines, one that has it, one that doesn't. Future on Wrist says easy to maintain. I wear triple XL gloves. Small work is in cramped places is nigh impossible. Yeah, you got talk about sausage fingers. I mean, that
is something that I hate.
Nothing
why
smaller
are screens so small?
Nothing smaller than
why
M3,
are screens so small? Like, why are bolts so small? Screens are so small. Like that.
And can we move away from touch screens, please?
No, I'm okay with touch screens.
I like the way Persia does it. Give me both. Give me both.
I like oh my god, I've forgotten the technology. I don't do this. I must really be tired.
Capacitive or inductive?
Capacitive touchscreens.
They're not accurate.
Yeah, but you can wear gloves.
Yeah.
Beep boop.
That's what the Prusa screens are. I'm pretty certain they're capacitive. Yeah, I mean, fine. But I think Prusa did it right with the touch screen and the knob. I still only ever use the knob. Even though I have it, put on. Let's see what else we got. Piezoactive bed mesh leveling. Fine. Cheaper multi-head printers. That's what Index is going to be.
Give me a... oh, wait, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
No.
There it goes. It's funny because it's just like the top half of your screen changes to that.
Oh, wait, how far down does it go?
It goes down...
I need to wait for YouTube to... So it's got the top. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Do that.
We'll take it. Good enough.
There we go.
Sure.
Okay, now I can move it over to this side, and every time the word index comes up, I can just be like,
you just drag it onto the screen. Let's see. My ideal printer is one I can customize and tweak for things I need. I don't need all direct. I just enjoy doing the tinkering. So a machine that is enclosed but has easy to remove side panels. I like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Honestly, the amount of times I like removing side panels for machines, just even for maintenance, like having to just go through the front of a machine just to work on everything. Like it's why we have accessible bolts on the side of ours, which is my hand is probably massively off camera at this point.
No,
But it's because if
barely
you're
on camera.
working in the front, you can go around the side, just take the panel off, work on it.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it.
Agreed.
Yep.
The tool head with wireless transfer of energy with Tesla coil. Well, that's induction. That's all a Tesla coil really is. It's just it's an air capacitor. That was so small. That was really funny. That's much funnier when it's crazy tiny. VOC control, that's pretty simple to do in modern printers.
Yeah.
It's a nice feature, but I worry that people won't change the filters. So
I can promise you they're not changing the filters. Just straight up promise you.
Yeah. No, we don't change the filters. I'm going to be straight. USB is better than CAN bus stuff, says I agree. An AMS, MMS, CFS that works with TPU and not special compatible TPU. That will be very difficult and requires a very tightly controlled filament path. It's not impossible, but I mean, TPU is
I'm
going to
say it now.
It's difficult.
TPU isn't that hard to deal with.
No, because most TPU is really hard.
No, even hard, like soft TPU. It's not that hard to deal with. So I've got a lot of experience with E3D Chimera. I've got a lot of experience with the Roto. They do it really good. So they use slightly smaller gears, which it doesn't really have any downsides. But because they've machined them basically perfectly into the housing, there's nowhere for the TPU to go. And that's it. And I do think if we had larger gears, it would be easier to do for TPU, because then you've got more of a surface to give the force to. But the trick is just machining it close enough to the teeth that it doesn't splurge out whenever anything's done. And I'm going to say now, I don't think TPU is an issue. I just think companies are bad at making extruders.
Well,
and they're trying to cheap out in too many areas.
If we had a good way that didn't require a lot of BS to push TPU into a printer, fine.
Like,
right?
How many printers do you know of that have machined slots for the tolerance control? Like, I know from the Bondtech side, they're printed.
I don't think any.
They're like SLS. And SLS has a rounded edge, which becomes the issue for TPU in that case. For the Bamboo Lab style, it's an insert tip, I think. I don't have my Bamboo Lab here anymore.
What do you?
I can't just check my Bamboo Lab. So the input of the extruder for the Bamboo Lab has like this little gap where it's rounded and it's plastic, which means it's not a perfect mated surface because they've designed tolerance creep in.
Prusa goes up like right to the gear, so it's easier for TPU for the next extruder.
Yeah, like I think if people just had machined slots for the TPU to go through the gears and then into the hot end, we won't see that many issues. Was it 3DCB? I can't ever remember the YouTuber's acronym. There was a guy on YouTube who makes really cool content and did a series of how fast can you actually push TPU out of machines that are normally slow it right the way down.
It's pretty fast.
And he basically got them at the same speed as regular materials, like slightly slower, but the same. I print TPU at 300 millimeters per second at 25 cubic millimeters per second flow.
If you have a well-controlled filament path, TPU is just as easy to print as PLA and PETG. Apparently, it was 3D Jake that did it.
There we go. Like, honestly, really good video. It's eye-opening.
So, so Alex said no air recirculating, top, bottom, for example. I would
like air circulation.
I want air recirculation. I don't want to pull in cold air and have to warm it up.
If there was VOC filtering, it should be internally circulating anyway. Because you don't want to be venting through a VOC filter. You want to be cleaning the air over and over and over again, meaning you can have a very small filter.
Ideally, your printer's pretty well sealed. so that you don't have to constantly heat up the air outside. Insulation would be great. So give me even like a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon or P1S with some insulation on it is a better printer. It is a better printer, period. So, I don't know. It's funny because it's like I want a Bamboo printer with a modern Cheaty bed, with a better heater than what Cheaty offers, with air gappable controls, open source firmware. It's not too bad. It's the chamber heater that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
And so I think having the wiring pre-done and then a user add-on, because then you don't have to certify it. Then it's the user's problem. If the user adds it in, you don't have to do all the fire testing for the chamber heater. You can fire test the chamber heater and you can fire test the printer. You don't have to fire test the chamber heater in the 3D printer. Now, should you? Probably. Will you? Absolutely not.
Okay, maybe in America, in the UK, you would have to.
Yeah, no. America, you don't. Ceramic heat break. No ceramic heat breaks! None!
No, yes, ceramic heat breaks, but reinforce the hot end with other methods of just, it's not all on a ceramic heat break.
Use titanium. You don't need ceramics. Stop
it.
Well,
okay, ceramic has a benefit. We use a ceramic heat break in Construct too. But none of the force for the heat break is ever going through that heat break. It's going through support pillars.
My camera f-stop changes when I zoom it in.
That's how f-stop works.
Well, when I'm running f1.8 right now. When I zoom it, it goes to 2.8. I have lenses that don't change when you zoom. But anyways, some do, some don't. Nice lenses don't. This is a Sony RX100 Gen 3. It's a pocket Sony camera. But yes, I'm going to give you the squinty eyes.
We did the testing.
Because if you do it wrong, Jacob, I will become your worst nightmare.
Do you know how we tested if
Jacob,
the heat break is good enough?
I will fly out to the UK and bitch slap you myself.
Oh no, now I have to do it wrong. You've just incentivized me doing it wrong.
But no, I'm not staying. I'm not staying.
Doesn't matter. You don't know what I'm into.
Yeah, Alex, that RX100 is great. It's a Gen 3. It's an RX100 Gen 3. Because anything above the Gen 3 is very expensive. The Gen 3s are expensive. The Gen 4 is much more expensive because it can film in 4K. This only does 1080p.
In fact, for anyone wondering, we tested the hot ends ceramic heat break by hitting it with a hammer. Did not break. Did not break. I was really worried because I don't have many, but it did not break. And we didn't hit it very hard. We hit it at simulated double strength of the maximum speed of the printer. PC Evangelist saying index once again. So for everyone asking, here's your emotional
made it
support
even
index.
Smaller.
There we go. There you go. Little emotional support index.
Just a little emotional support index. Yeah. See, that's the fun thing when you're on camera, because so my camera's reversed for me. So like this is my right hand, but for everybody on the stream, it should be my left. Or it looks like to me it's my left. It's right for you guys. It looks backwards for me. But
so the thing that ruins it for me is Zoom for the meeting call is right is to right.
You can
swap right that. Is to left.
You can literally swap that.
Which I like. But my OBS hyperstream is reverse, so I'm looking at two different reverse images of me. I am not a smart man. I'm stupid but faster. That is my entire shtick, is I don't know when to quit.
Oh yeah, they are backwards. I just opened up my Zoom and yeah, it is backwards on Zoom.
How long have you done this?
I don't need to look at both because I have the stream, so you're in my OBS. I don't have to look at Zoom. I don't have to look at Zoom to see you. You're in OBS. I see you there. Who said about LE archives? Probably Helix. No, it's PC Evangelist. What do LE archive printers use as they are higher temp? Is their Kickstarter over yet?
I don't know. Grant hasn't even noticed yet, chat.
Let's see. Jesus Christ, I
Now
see
he's
that
noticed.
now. Why did you just give yourself pasties? All right, it's got 4 days to go. In good faith, we are unable to recommend the LARG Kickstarter. If you do want a high temp printer, we highly recommend that you wait for that. Stop it, Jacob. We highly recommend that you wait for that to come out fully and let the kinks be worked out. Yes, you're going to end up paying more, but it's just, we really don't think the LARG is safe. And yeah, please don't be stupid.
Safety is one thing I will never compromise. I will become the most outspoken person.
We don't know how they're doing it.
Blinkingly.
Even we are questioning how they're doing it. Because their machine is too cheap to be doing it right. And when I told them I had experience, they all of a sudden stopped talking to me.
I was talking to a military engineer earlier today, and I was like, when was the last time you saw RGB high temp LEDs? And he literally turned around going, never. And the industries that we work in are all super high temp, and he's never seen an LED in anything above 100 degree. So that, if anyone was to know, it would have been him. He couldn't think of a single time. Not even once.
I think the LEDs are like the least of my concern on that machine.
It's the flag. It's the easy to catch thing. It's the, if they didn't think about the lights, what else didn't think about? The lights are the easy thing where you, on any LED strip you buy, it says doesn't need a heat sink because it gets too hot if it doesn't have it. And it tells you the maximum temperature of the light. It's like the easiest thing. Like if you buy them for your kitchen, because it's that common, it will tell you maximum operating temperature in like the 3 bullet points of the thing. If they missed that, what did they miss in anything else that would normally be only on a date sheet? That's the problem. It's the complete, I can't call it not faith, but I have no faith in the engineering behind that machine.
There are right ways and wrong ways, and thankfully there are some content creators that have these machines that I can hold faith in that they're going to do their best to keep the company honest. But be careful. I'm not even certain they've made enough money to even do a production run of these machines. But again,
I can pretty much promise you no.
So unless they're backed by venture capital and it's already ready, bamboo style.
Yeah,
and I think
how much have they earned? Was it like only
77,000 US?
Yeah, that's like 55k. 55k is almost just enough to buy the materials for 30 machines, 40 machines, maybe 50.
So we'll see.
At most.
We'll see. And look, let us be proven wrong. Right? I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm just a little salty that when I told them I have experience and already own Peak, Peck, Ultem, and all of that, they stopped talking to me. It's like they wanted people that didn't have experience. And that makes me really uncomfortable. But an LERG style machine with Construct 3D style of safety, I'm down. I'm down. But that's just the Construct 2. So.
Well, it's not, because we know the safety concerns of going that high.
That's fair.
And
yeah, that's fair.
But that's the point, is safety concerns, and we're making a high temp printer. And we never aimed to make a higher temp printer. And we know these concerns. Because it becomes very obvious very quickly when you're designing something for that level of heat. And that's why I sit exceedingly uncomfortable around that machine. Just because if you're making a machine for 50 degrees, you have to ask the question of what temperature do your motors get to.
If people actually get these machines, please don't run them unattended. Straight up. Just don't. Put a blaze cut in it, please.
Yep.
Put a blaze cut.
Yep.
We'll see.
Or blaze, cut the power supply off and never use it.
We could bitch about that machine all day. You know, it's funny.
Anyway,
I've always said like
moving on. I hate that machine. I hate how much mind share I give it. Moving on. I have a controversial question for you regarding the internals of a printer.
Okay.
Camera, yay or nay?
No.
For monitoring.
Again, personal. No.
Used to be in a yay because I like the idea that you could do data analytics internally only with it. So you could monitor a print.
Don't care.
You could maybe use a spaghetti detector if it fails when you're asleep and the machine can do something smart. And then I actually just asked myself, once again, why didn't we put a camera in Construct 1? And the simple answer, I looked at the paperwork, was nobody will use it. Like, it's not useful. I think it's just a security risk.
I think the cameras before Bamboo, we just pointed webcams at our machines, man. It's what we did. It's what we did back in the day. You know, Bamboo introduced the idea of having cameras on your machines. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But, like you said, it's a huge security risk. As a business, not a chance. As a personal user, I'm security conscious because of the business side of me. So also, probably not a chance. I say that, yet, I mean, I have one up here because I need to take it apart. I use Wisecams, right? But they're on a separate, discrete network. They're safe. And I don't
also, the question is, what benefit does a camera have for the printer? Like, let's say
unless you're connecting it to...
The camera is safely secured to your phone, so you can monitor it when it's out. All it's going to tell you is a printer's failed or not. Like, the printer in both of our heads aren't internet connected.
Right.
So you can't control it remotely.
Right.
Which means that your camera telling you it's failed or not means not. All it will give you is stress.
If it's not internet connected, then the camera doesn't do much use. Dougal said time lapse or socials. Set up a camera.
Set up a proper camera. The cameras inside most printers are not good enough.
Do what the Core 1 did.
Slightly different. We're putting an 8K camera in Construct 2 because we want that. But it's optional.
Do what the Core 1 did. Wire for it. Let the user decide. Now, unfortunately, the buddy camera is terrible. It's just bad. And there's no two ways around it. The buddy camera is bad. It needs...
Let me see if I can't get a recommended camera for that.
It needs better firmware. Run a USB-A port up in the printer and let me put my own damn camera if I want it. Or sell me an extra camera. Sell the machine as an air-gapped machine. Allow me to un-air-gap it if I want. Right? Mitch has proper lighting. Damn it, that's one that we missed. Proper effing lighting. Give me lighting.
Give me lighting. Not one LED strip on one side. Give me at least bi-directional, so there is no shadows.
Yeah, I want lighting from the top.
I don't need high CRI. Yeah, I don't need high CRI.
No.
CRI doesn't matter for a 3D printer.
Normal
but make
LEDs.
It clean and make it bright.
And a cob strip. I don't want individual diodes. Give me a cob strip. Because then you... So, like, when I was first looking at the Core 1...
Wait. What do you mean by cob?
Chip on board.
Yeah, but isn't that individual diodes on one big board?
Yeah, but there's a phosphorus strip, so it acts as one.
Oh, you mean the coated one, so it just looks like a glowing beam?
Yes, so it looks like a glowing beam.
Ah, okay. So I'm used to industrial cob, where it is just a white strip with...
yeah. Yeah. No. I want, like, the strip of LED light. Because...
You've seen what's in Construct 2, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the strips in the core. They're cob, technically.
Ideally, I want the ones that are that coated, so it's one light. And the Core 1 is the thing that turned me on to this, because the Core 1 doesn't have that, and the lights are far enough apart that they kind of interfere with each other. So when you're looking at the Core
Oh.
1 printing, it looks like it's ringing. It's
Wait,
not.
what?
Yeah. The LEDs
What?
are just far enough apart that they kind of like cancel each other out and cast weird shadows and stuff. You know how that is, right? Where you have dull spots in between the LEDs. So it looks like it's ringing. And I thought it was ringing when I did my unboxing live. And I'm like, this doesn't look right. Something's not right here. And I take it out and it looks totally fine. I'm like, oh, the LEDs suck.
So I haven't seen the material that is on the Core 1 strip. Is it a printed cover, or is
There
it
is no
an
cover.
actual?
It's just raw. It's just raw LEDs, raw
Oh,
diodes.
so if you wanted to do a nice strip, normally you would add a diffusion layer. So I like specially
Which is
optical
what I would
diffusion
want to do.
polymer.
Just I'll add a thin layer of PETG in front of it and I'm done. But I haven't done that yet. So I've just learned to ignore it because the prints look beautiful,
To be
even
honest,
though the lights
light is
make them
light.
look bad.
Light is light, and
Okay.
I like light.
But bad light and good light are different things. Right?
Oh yeah, for anyone wanting a nice USB based, like USB serial, I think, what do they call it's USB? It's not USB-C, but it's like USB class C, which is a USB-A cable camera. The IMX 258, 16 megapixel is nice little 8mm by 8mm cube, safe up to 75 degrees C.
Really?
Adhesive backed, yep. Ribbon cable attached, so you can put it anywhere, and then you get like a 2-meter cable. That works great. Actually great. And you can go global shutter at like 4 FPS. So if you want absolutely zero motion blur, you do it on that. Otherwise, you go to like a JPEG formatting, and then you can get like 60 FPS at 16 megapixels, which I think is like 5.5K or 4.5K, which is more than enough for any time lapse that you need. And it's USB based. Can you tell I did a load of research into cameras for Construct 2?
I am not surprised at all by this.
The other one, so if you want just like a generally decent camera, there's the OV5693. You can get them for like $10. Again, it's USB-A. Plug it in. The driver board is already based on it. I personally like the ones where the camera module and the driver board are separate and you ribbon cable them together. But you can get them as like big cubes, which is normally what's used for like CCTV cameras, except these are better quality than CCTV. And that's 5 megapixel. And 5 megapixel is still good. Like, you'll be surprised with how good 5 megapixel is.
Plenty fine. 5 megapixel is 2.7K, give or take.
Yeah.
Duff said nozzle cam. I don't know.
No. I don't. So the problem I have
it's
with
just
nozzle
one
cam,
more thing to go wrong, man.
Well, it only tells you one thing, which is, do I have a blob of dew, or do I have dirt on my nozzle? Other than that, it can't give you information as it's printing, and there's no software that utilizes any output that it gives. The field of view is going to be too small to really see anything. It looks cool. Don't get me wrong. Looks amazing. It makes you feel really good about your machine. But that's the type of feature that you do to show whoever's never seen your printer before. Like, you go, look at this, it's printing and it's moving. It's like, wow, that's so cool. And then to you who's seen it already, you go, why is that important to me?
Yeah, I already have this. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Duff saying first layer. You should be there for the first layer.
Don't use the camera. Without a vision system to determine what's going on, it doesn't matter anyways. But a visible nozzle. A nozzle that isn't blocked by an air duct is actually kind of important.
Really nice.
So I can see if my first layer looks okay, so I don't have to bother with that. So
yep.
That's fair.
Being able to see the tip of the nozzle from quite a few angles, so much better than having any camera you could imagine.
And I guess I'm going to end it with my final thought is of royalty, because we've just given any company that wants to develop an ideal 3D printer over 100 people live asking questions, giving ideas. You have 2 experts in the industry giving their opinions on it. If you utilize the information that we provided here to make the ideal printer, you can pay us some royalty. That's really all that I want.
I like that. I like that.
Because legitimately, if you're looking to build a 3D printer, we just provided you the best market research that you could probably ever get. We've been averaging like 120 to 140 people this entire time.
That's good. That's nice.
We even forgot to take our mid-hour or so in ad break to thank Construct 3D for being the sponsor of the podcast. Thank Printed Solid for being the filament sponsor of the podcast. Remind people to like and subscribe and donate and all those things. But yeah, I think that we've done a lot of good market research for any 3D printer company who is out there. And the comments are going to be good too. The chat is good, but the comments will be good as well.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah.
Just imagine Grant getting a check from Bamboo Lab.
Yes.
No chance.
I can already imagine my IP lawyer's going to see this and once again tell me to shut up and stop talking about all this cool stuff.
Has he told you to shut up on the podcast before?
Oh, multiple times now. Like I had a meeting with him a couple of days ago and he openly said to my mum that he has to multiple times turn off the stream because he's cringing behind the scenes going, no, that's a patentable idea. Stop saying that. Stop opening it up to people. And you know what? You're right. Screw you. I like this job more than patenting things.
Okay, to be clear, I'm okay with patenting things, but I don't also know if it's patentable or not. And ultimately, I firmly believe that I don't have the cash flow to defend a patent anyways, so it doesn't serve me any value in my business. So that would be my argument toward a patent attorney and say it's not worth the money. And realistically, let's be fair, they're not going to find this. They're just going to allow the patent. The patent offices have allowed the dumbest things for the dumbest reasons. They're not going to find this. They're not going to watch 3.5 hours deep into a podcast to find the random time where we spoke about something that nobody else has done before because they're overworked, they're underpaid, and they have a backlog. It's fine. And ultimately, if a company watches this far too and they decide to do it, more power to them. But if they decide to patent it, I will remember that we talked about this, and I will say this was the public disclosure, and their patent can be null and voided, and they can properly kick rocks.
If you are watching this, hi. I really value your input quite highly. I love you. Thank you.
Alex
don't
says,
murder me for
thank
this.
you, Jacob. Grant, screw you, and too greedy to care about users. I do care a lot about the users, but I'm also running a business, and you know,
it's fun trying to balance the mindset of business and corporate, and I like the community.
Given what I've talked heavily about when it comes to licensing things, that's very much my perspective on it too. So, yeah. But I also need to make sure that myself, my team, my family, and hopefully the family that comes after me are also taken care of. Right?
Like, you still need to eat. And
and eggs aren't getting much cheaper.
Don't know. They're pretty cheap over here.
Shut up, Jacob. Yeah. Look, man, you know, eggs aren't getting much cheaper. I'm about ready to get a damn cow at this point. I'm going to try the Dwight Schrute method with a cow.
If you thinking eggs come out of a cow, I've got some bad news.
No, you don't know. You don't know the Dwight. Have you not seen The Office either? Jacob! 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 You haven't seen The Office? Jacob!
No, I watched The British Office and it was bad. And I just never cared that there was an American one. Hey, Grant, look. It's okay, Grant. Look. Emotional support micro index. There you go. Just look at that.
30 says F you for not having a noise gate. There is a noise gate. I'm just really loud.
There you go. Look, it's bigger now. Like, oh, it's upside. Did I make upside? No, it's not upside. Look.
Oh, whoa. Nick T said, well, U.S. Office isn't much better. The Office is a phenomenal show. It is a phenomenal show. Although, whenever Michael Scott leaves, just stop watching. And Scott's Tots, right? Worst episode ever. Absolutely the worst episode ever. You all, it was good for the era.
Time to add that to my.
This is the only podcast that make lower ed level up the volume so often. Parks and Recs, yes, Parks and Rec is a great show too. That one, if you haven't seen, I would understand. That's a very, I don't know.
I'm just really bad with certain media. Okay, I
mean, look,
I watch some of the most obscure stuff and then the most normal stuff, and then I sit there going,
look, I'm the under a rock guy too. I tell people if they're gonna make a movie reference and it's not like a Pacific Rim or Fast and Furious reference, I'm not gonna get it. So just assume I've never seen the movie. But I have seen those TV shows, and like I've binge watched The Office, I've binge watched Parks and Rec, I've been watching multiple times. King of the Hill, great binge watchable show, phenomenal. That's Americana redneck right there. That's good stuff.
Oh no, Mitch, no, I got 40 episodes into One Piece and I dropped it. I am not that sad. I have self-worth. I know it doesn't look it.
One Piece is what, high. 1,037 episodes or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna piss off so many people. Say it's not good.
Oh.
If you have to say, "Oh, it's good after 300 episodes,"
sir, you're
it
upsetting...
might just not be good.
You're gonna upset the weebs. Don't upset the weebs.
Look, I'm a weeb. I love 86. I think Sword Art Online was actually quite good.
It's like pissing off the furry community.
I've rewatched it enough times.
You don't piss off the weebs. You don't piss off the furry community. I don't care what you have to say. You don't piss them off.
The furry community love me. I make cool fursuit hats for them now.
Say, the furry...
I made them out of Vario short, and it's actually, honestly, if you want to make like a fursuit head armature,
always Vario short.
Make it out of Vario short because it's super breathable. Mm-hmm. It honestly, anyone that's worn it, it cools them right down compared to like just the standard foam. It's great.
Yep, and you know, furries basically run all of the IT departments in every company.
That as well, like literally, I did computer science for 5 years at university.
Steven, how many episodes are in One Piece? Now I'm gonna look this up.
Oh, way too many. Actually, way too many.
1,126, and it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
4 OVAs, 14 TV specials,
ended?
And 15 movies.
One Piece manga ended.
That's a lot.
Oh no, even the manga hasn't ended yet. It's expected to end in 2030. There we go. Look, I respect people that have watched all of it, or even most of it, but I will not take the argument that if you have to sit over 300 episodes for it to be good, that is almost like saying, well, my niece is now nice because they grew up.
Okay, well then...
You've just had so much exposure, you're just happy it got good.
All right. You want 2 good shows that aren't American? Ooh, I'll give you 3. I'm going to go old school, Red Green. We go old school, the Red Green show. You'll appreciate it. Red Green is good.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's older. It's Canadian public television. Phenomenal. Letterkenny. It is phenomenal. Again, Canadian. All 3 of these are going to be Canadian. Right? Yeah. What was the third one? I forget the third one now. Letterkenny's phenomenal.
Red Dwarf in the chat. Yes. Got the entire series box sets. All of them.
Oh, Red Dwarf. I thought you were talking about someone who was named Red Dwarf. Red Green is still making as if he's on YouTube. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. God bless. It was... Trailer Park Boys. Trailer Park Boys. Another good one. Another good one.
I've never been into that side. I've always been like the Babylon 5, Star Trek, like that sort of stuff. Like, honestly, my favorite show of recent time is just The Expanse.
Do you like Stargate?
Yeah. I rewatch it like every couple of years just in case.
Well, then we should get Hewlett on here. David Hewlett's a huge 3D printing nerd.
I keep forgetting you know him. Honestly, I actually cannot be on a stream because I'll be too busy like actually fangirling.
He's such a nice guy too. He really
I'm
is.
so glad that when we like met for the first time, I was exceedingly tired, so you only got like a microsecond of me fangirling meeting you. But I would not be doing that if you. I
You
would
slammed the
plan
door in
my.
my face, you piece of shit.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I would plan my sleep so I'm fully alert on that stream.
I would have.
Just like,
David is a phenomenal guy. There's a bunch of like TV show based celebrities that I've worked with before. But yeah, you know, Hewlett happens to be a big 3D printing nerd. So, I don't know. Find a reason to get him on. We'll see if there's a charity he wants to pimp or something, and we can do a charity stream with him.
oh yeah, that'd be great.
But yeah, like, dude, you be. I mean, The Expanse has a ton of 3D printed stuff in it. A ton.
Oh yeah.
What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to line up some game companies, like some like video game companies. I know you have some background in that
Yep.
want to release some of their files or release 3D printable versions of their files, and we could interview them when they release it.
That would be really fun.
And we are looking for guests. So if you guys have any recommendations on people you'd like to see on the show, now that, you know, the 2-person show is kind of smoothed out a little bit, we've got our kind of flow, right? And we barely talked about food this entire episode, but
God damn it, why did you say it now? I'm thinking about it.
Well, you know, we're both hungry.
That is true.
But yeah, if there's guests you all want to see, let us know. Like, that's part of the deal. I would normally look for guests a lot because having a single head talking the entire time sucks. But having Jacob as a guest makes it, and now as a co-host, makes it really easy. Oh, lemon drizzle recipe. Christopher Elliott says lemon drizzle recipe. I don't know.
We forgot at Mother's Day that we agreed my mum was going to come on, and you could have actually asked her.
When was Mother's Day for you?
It was like a while ago now.
Oh, well, that's fine. Mine's coming up.
So next Mother's Day, when my mum comes on, you can ask her yourself. Watch her melt in front of the camera where she panics over things she shouldn't panic about.
I will tell her to have it ready because I've talked very heavily about this lemon drizzle recipe and how your mother should just be the one that levels the beds. She made that perfect layer of sugar on that. Shit, so good. So good.
Honestly, that lemon drizzle was lovely.
So good.
Fully gluten-free as well, which makes it even better. Like, so for anyone who doesn't know, I have like medical issues out the ass, and I've only recently got to like a level of normalcy. And for the biggest period of my time, like from the ages of like 10-ish all the way up to like easy 18, 19, I never had wheat because it would destroy my body. And there was a lot of other things wrong with me that are not even worth talking about because it will make you feel really bad.
That's what the doctors are for.
But the point being was, never had wheat, so we never had cake. Like, cake. The cake you buy in a shop, the cake you get from a shop type thing. It was always homemade stuff. And when I started having wheat again, I got really happy that I can have a piece of cake now. So I weaned myself onto wheat over 2 years to build up enough resilience to the thing that was actually destroying my body. I had a bit of cake, and my first feeling was like, oh, this isn't that good. Like, it was just disappointment, like actual just pure heart-destroying disappointment when I went, I think my mum's is better.
I remember telling your mother, not only is this great cake, the lemon drizzle was phenomenal, it's even better when you realize it's gluten-free. Winslow Joy at the $9.99 basically telling us to shut up, says to wrap up the ad-free stream.
Is this how we're going to end the streams? People have to beg us to stop now?
They can just leave when they want, but instead, why don't we send them to go, oh no, we have to give away filament first. Jesus Christ, Greg.
Yeah, don't forget that again.
Gotta give away a spool, and then we'll go send them to go hang out with Steve Builds.
So. Oh, actually, before we do, let's give them for something to message into the comments after it ends for obviously engagement reasons.
Sure.
Message, why do you think something about that sentence does not work in my head how I thought it would. Okay. I'm going to say something controversial, and then I want you to put into the chat why you think I said it. I think end stops are good and sensorless homing is bad on 3D printers.
Oh, I know why you like it, but
yeah, you know why, but you're not allowed to say it because now they're going to put in the comments what they think, and it's probably going to be right because everybody's actually really smart in this stream. So be right in the comments. Definitely not for engagement to make our stats look better. Thank you.
It's funny because on my list I say I want sensorless homing.
Oh, I don't.
I know why really it's bad, but it is convenient. Anyways, we're going to wrap this one here. We hope you all have enjoyed our ideal printers. We've talked about some of your ideas as well. Don't forget, if you have ideas that weren't talked about, leave them in those comments, leave them in the chat, whatever it is. But this has been episode 224 of the Making Awesome podcast. What is the ideal 3D printer and why is it a Bondtech Index?
God damn, I just
I just minimized it. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. All right. We're not recording anymore.
I can do the weird stuff now.
Now it gets weird.
Now it's after dark.
Yeah, Da Vinci's realizing I am really far behind on giving away the filament. I still have your DM is still unread, so I know I have to do it.
Can I do an after dark? Like, is my camera good enough for that? I don't know. If I think, there we go.
Here, when I turn off my studio lights, this is how I look.
Yeah, you look the same. Just darker.
I look much darker, yeah.
Well, the whole point of After Dark is supposed to have some, like, color.
Well, okay, the problem is it's bright outside. So even if I turn off the lights in the room, you're going to get a lot of backlight.
Wait,
so
if I can get the red and purple going.
That's why I just leave the stream lights on. All right, let's get some names together. Man, that was a big drop off. People don't realize that we do giveaways. You do have to be present for the giveaway. For reference, if you're not present for the giveaway, you don't win.
Wait, no, it's Jacob After Dark. What am I playing at?
Jesus.
There we go.
All right, 63 responses. Oh, let me turn off the responses. Shouldn't allow the responses. Let's go to sort A to Z, wheel of names. Oh, wheel of names has timed out.
Can the chat tell that I'm like hyper tired today? Because this is what happens when you work constantly way too long.
I'm exhausted too.
I just don't care anymore.
But that's fine.
Oh.
Let's see if they've won recently.
David Connor with the no shirt ad today. Well, congratulations, you just became the ad. Thank you.
I'm so
go buy a shirt, people. Go to the
that's right. We didn't talk about the shirts. Yeah, merch link in bio or whatever the hell I'm supposed to say.
Unfortunately, Index don't sponsor me as much as I would love that.
We would gladly accept it, though.
I'm just a shill. I'm just straight up a shill for a really nice product that is really cool.
Shane Christensen, if you're here, you win. Let me see. I don't see you. So Shane Christians, let's see if they're taggable. They are. Shane, if you're here, you win. Let me know. Index sponsor. Hell yes. Absolutely be an Index sponsor.
I'm
What?
blinding myself.
What?
No, I'm just blinding myself. Oh, God.
Oh, geez. Jacob.
God, I'm trying to do controls. Oh.
All right.
I don't even know what that setting is.
It's confusing. That's what it is. Should we do one more?
Yeah.
You want one more? What?
I can't actually see anymore. I think I've just blinded myself.
That's terrible. Don't do that.
I'm just going to turn my light.
Shane, just DM me on Discord or Twitter or send me an email. Although DMing me on Discord is the best way to do this. I'm just at 3D Musketeers on Discord. I'm likely in a server that you're in. So just DM me there. All right, let's give away one more. I should point out the fact that staff can't win. I gotta. Well, I mean, it is fully random, so I guess staff can win.
If staff win, do you do the double it and pass it forward?
No. This person already won this month, so I can remove that. Right? Yeah, this is the last time for this month, too. Let's see if this person
just realized.
won. What?
I've just realized. So, you know how we've been looking at camera quality?
Matt Weber, you win.
So, the stream of the Index video is in 4K, and it's sending out max quality over the virtual cam, and YouTube has it blurry, meaning Zoom is messing up the quality of the stream.
Let me see what it looks like on Zoom. Looks beautiful to me. I can see it.
Have you seen what it looks like on YouTube?
No, because I only have a small little window to see it on YouTube.
It looks like the entire video, including my camera, 480p.
I'll be curious if it gets better after the stream.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
For anyone wondering, we're working on trying to make the quality of the stream better.
Yeah. Jacob's getting a new camera. We're getting him an Insta360 Link 2.
So excited for it. I actually am so excited.
I should just mail you
and then I can
this.
put this camera as a foot camera, and then it's fine. And then we can have a WikiFeeds camera. People pay money for it. I'm not above it. Money is money.
Nope.
Look, people bought a Beldaphine keyboard, so
they also bought her bath water. Jacob, your argument is invalid.
No, even more valid. Go for a bath, sell water. You sold water. Not even clean water, unusable water.
Sir, you don't have to prove that it was used for. There's no way to. I'm not getting into the.
That's the point.
I'm not getting into the business side of this.
We can't even say they printed money. They just poured money into a cup. That's what they did. It was genius.
Yeah. I'm not. Hey, look. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay. I am all for that she ran one of the most successful marketing campaigns that anybody has ever won. So, you know.
David Connor saying on his side, my stream looks 240p. We got to do something. We got to bump those pixels up.
Maybe we had
just like anyone in this chat has to bump those likes on the video if you haven't done it yet.
Then we probably need to switch over to Discord at some point. So
we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out one step at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Let's go hang out with Steve Builds. Go raid him. Go, I don't know. What do we want everybody to say when they hit his chat? He's working on a Prusa Mini. I don't know. I don't want to troll Steve too bad. Anyways, we'll see you all later. Go hang out with Steve. Take care.
Go have some fun.
Yeah, go have some fun. See ya.